Podcast, everybody. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by our assertiveness training that is happening tomorrow for the hospitality industry in Sydney, Australia at UTS Business School, sponsored by all the fabulous people that are on our poster, one of them being Numero Uno. And today I have on the podcast, and I'd love to welcome Gina Di Brita. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Lee.
It's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Gina is the owner and founder of Numero Uno, and Numero Uno is a sponsor, as I said, of the Assertiveness Workshop. If you want to get tickets, head to mapperforward.org/events. It will be a life-changing workshop for you. But today, I get to talk to you after you and I somehow being in the same industry for loads of years and not interacting with each other.
How did that happen?
I don't know. And the weird part about it is when I saw you, I felt like I'd known you for millions of years. And which is always nice because you meet people that you just connect with.
Yeah. And it's like, we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, like, when you look at what you've done in the industry, and we're going to, deep dive into lots of it, you have your own company. How old is Numero Uno? About 2003, so maybe 16 years.
Wow. Yeah, 16, 17 years.
You are not only the owner of a business that's doing, you were part of what paved the specialty coffee scene in Sydney.
I was sort of there at the beginning of specialty coffee, besides Toby's estate. You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You were one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing that I'm like, how did I not know about this woman?
Yeah.
And then there was, you are the 2019 Woman in Coffee of the Year. How do they say it?
The Eleonora Genovese Woman of the Year in Coffee Award. Yeah, that was a surprise. A shock, I guess.
So how does that work? Do you nominate yourself? Does somebody nominate you?
You've got to be nominated. Yeah.
By peers in the industry?
By peers, yeah. And when I found out who nominated me, I was really pleased because I have a lot of respect for this person.
Oh, that's awesome.
And did not think that he ever thought of me like that.
Yeah, wow.
To nominate me for such an amazing award, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I really just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
So you get nominated for that. You're up against a bunch of other women.
A bunch of amazing other women in the industry.
Can you say who the women are?
There was the one who Peter Wolf's wife, Penny Wolf.
Penny Wolf.
I love her. She's a great lady. All the girls actually were amazing. Tilly actually, when I saw Tilly's name, she was she was a rising woman of the year.
Tilly from Cafe.
No, she's in Brisbane. So I'm so sorry.
So this is Tilly Edwards, Sean Edwards' daughter?
No. Tilly
from Brisbane.
She's been competing as a barista for many years.
Oh, this is not that Tilly.
Yeah, I didn't really know about her until I saw her on the short list. There was Michaela from Mokapan, I think. There's quite a few other women that I sort of didn't really know, but I knew of them and thought, but Penny stood out the most for me because I thought when I saw I didn't really know about the nomination until the day before, and I sort of put it out of my head because I thought, it's one of those awards that,
Does it really mean anything?
Well, it doesn't mean anything, and just it never crossed my mind. But I knew Eleonora.
And I've got to say, the fact that it never really crossed my mind. This may be why nobody knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? You're such a humble woman. You've done so much, and yet I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but not enough people know. Yeah. That should know who you are.
I think it's more around the work that I'm doing. I want to be probably known for or acknowledged for, but also the fact that I am, and I think I was saying this before, that I've never played the woman card.
Yeah. What does that mean, do you think? Because we're going to deep dive into this.
Yeah, I know. What does that mean? I guess when I first started the company, I had, I always wanted to start my own business, and I've done some interesting things in my life.
Yeah.
And I fell into coffee in Melbourne. I was working for a small boutique coffee company back then.
You born and raised in Melbourne or Sydney?
Born and raised in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, originally from Melbourne, but I lived in Far North Queensland for about 17 years. I was doing something. I was actually growing another legal. I was dealing with another legal drug.
Oh, I thought you would be about to tell me you grew weed or something.
No. That was grown in the back of the place. No.
Each their own.
I was actually an owner and operator of a tobacco farm in Far North Queensland. Yeah. Mm.
I've just been I'm trying to learn about American history.
Right.
And tobacco was really important in the initial stages of the ag industry.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well, there was a lot of tobacco grown in Australia many, many years ago.
Is it still grown in Australia?
No,
How come?
because of the imports of the tariffs that were placed on us, and we were competing with say Indonesia and Brazil and all those countries that grew tobacco. They had very low wages. They didn't have to comply.
Right.
Same sort of thing that we deal with in coffee, to be honest. Same thing, and I never thought that I would ever transfer what I went through in the coffee industry, in the tobacco industry, to now in the coffee industry.
You've hit a subject that is really intriguing to me because I'm a cigar smoker.
Oh, I love a cigar here and there.
Great.
Are you?
I love cigars.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so glad that you told me that because I brought a couple cigars with me from the
Really?
US. So you and I are going to meet up before I go.
Do you know Antonio? Cool, let's do it.
Are you a cigar smoker, Antonio? Well, you can join us for a cigar.
Yeah.
So I brought a couple cigars
A cigar
back with
and
me.
whiskey for me.
Well, see, I don't drink alcohol, but an elixir
Right.
and cigar.
Oh, I've got to try your elixir. How bad am I?
I'll bring you a couple
Please,
bottles
I
tomorrow.
need to try this elixir.
So my favourite thing to do, the way I celebrate anything that's important, like I will celebrate at the end of tomorrow's workshop. This was a big deal. It's a world first for the coffee industry, this assertiveness workshop.
True.
So Noah and I will have a cigar together.
Wow.
And then when I go home, I will get on my balcony.
Yeah.
Californian sunset.
Yeah.
Some good jazz music in the background.
Oh, wow.
A cigar at sunset.
I want to be there.
You are welcome on my balcony
I wish I was
with
there.
a cigar
Already,
anytime.
I can see that.
and a good elixir. Don't fucking talk to me.
Really?
Leave me alone and let me just enjoy it.
Wow.
Yeah, and we get incredible sunsets in San Diego.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Incredible sunsets. Yeah. And so I want to ask you everything about tobacco.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Well, I have some questions I'm trying to understand.
Well,
Go ahead.
My farm was a multi-award-winning farm 3 years in a row under Philip Morris International. So I dealt with all the big coffee buyers.
See, none of that surprises me, having stumbled across you after you've done all this incredible shit and nobody knew about it.
Well, that's the thing. But I figured out why I sort of kept to myself.
Tell me.
I think...
The reason I think it's so important for people to hear your story is because there are so many women out there that say, I don't want to, I want to hold back and just let my work do the talking.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion that we have to stop doing that.
Yeah, and I think it could be either a cultural thing that I grew up with,
As Italian?
that women, that the women were second to the men.
Yep.
Awful to say, but it's the truth. I think when I came up against a lot of the males that I dealt with when I first started the coffee business, it was quite sexist. I had lots of sexist remarks. So I was sort of put down a lot, but deep inside I knew I could do it. I knew what I wanted to do. I always had this fearless energy about me that what I could see. I always had vision where I was going next, and but I think, and I had some bad relationships where,
Like I'm hearing you talk going tick, same, tick, same, tick, same, tick, same.
I had some pretty bad relationships where I was, tried to, I was...
walked all
they
over
tried
and
to
treated like shit.
Tried to control me, and I'm not someone you can control. I'm a real free spirit, we
you
all
and I
are.
could be the same person, Gina.
Right? Well, we could be. I don't know, not from another mother or something.
Close. Like we just keep. I mean, every time I have a conversation with you and hear part of your story, I'm like, it just sounds so much like my story.
Yeah.
And I know that there are women out there that are listening to this,
right,
that are thinking, that sounds like me. So many of us, and I, like you, I don't like to play the woman card. If anything, I have been confused by the woman card.
Yeah.
I've been confused by the fact that people would say, women are less than men. Well, I'm like, bitch, have you met me?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Women are less than men,
yeah.
and yet I know all these incredible women who are wiping the floor with everybody that's around them, no matter what gender or
exactly.
anything they are.
Yeah.
And you're an incredible example. It's why I was so determined to get you on the podcast.
Thank you, because I am actually ready to share those challenges that I've gone through as a woman in business. But let me go back to when I first started the company. I just woke up.
Numero Uno or the tobacco company?
Numero Uno Coffee. That's another story, the tobacco thing.
Okay.
Oh gosh, that's another story. And what I did in between. But when I woke up, I literally woke up and I told my ex-partner, let's start a coffee business. And he told me, are you effing crazy?
This is a podcast where you can say fucking
no
matter.
No.
I know you don't want to say it, but
I don't want to say it.
Let it go.
But the effing,
let it
anyway,
go.
it's all right.
Don't be afraid.
The boys have heard me say it. They have heard me.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, but and I said, no, I'm not. I'm not nuts. We can do this. And really, back then, Lee, I did not know anything about coffee. Nothing. I just knew that I could do it. I just had this vision of starting my own coffee company.
You didn't know,
nothing. Really, nothing.
Like, was it because you're Italian that you wanted to do coffee?
I guess coffee was a part of my heritage. We grew up with the stovetop on the stove every morning, a cafetiera, and I don't know. I just loved when I worked for this guy in Melbourne when I first started in coffee. I went for the interview. I answered this ad in the paper. I was in between jobs. I'd just come back from 17 years of being up in far north Queensland, and I brought my 3 daughters with me. We moved back to Melbourne thinking, and I actually kissed the ground.
Did you
when
really?
I got off the airport, when I got off the plane.
Is that like a part of your life has ended?
But I thought, oh, Melbourne, this is it. Melbourne, I'm back home. But I just wasn't settled. I didn't like Melbourne anymore.
Yeah, wow.
It was really weird after being away for so long. And I was in between jobs. And anyway, I saw this ad in the paper that said, marketing guru wanted. That was all it said. And I thought, that's me.
Was it in coffee? Was it in coffee?
Yeah, but I didn't know.
And
I was sitting in this cafe, and back then you read through the ads. You didn't go on Indeed or Seek.com. Back then it was
You circled the paper.
I think I was in St Kilda.
We're showing our age now, love.
My age.
I'm sure I'm right there with
younger
you.
Than me.
Not a lot, but we're in the same generation.
I'll have you on board. No, and I sat in that cafe and I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just want to do something that's more fulfilling. And exciting. And
did you find tobacco unfulfilling? Did you find
tobacco
being in an agricultural
really
site?
hard work? But I took it I ran it like a business in the end. I knew nothing about tobacco. I married into tobacco.
Okay.
That was really hard work, really hard. And the season never ended. The harvest never ended. It just never ended, because once you pick the tobacco, you've got to then grade it, and you're stuck in these big sheds grading leaf by leaf. If that one's you're grading. Yeah, it's pretty intense. Tobacco is pretty intense.
Would you roll cigars, or would you?
Yeah, we did our own, not cigars, but we did our own paper. We had our own. We'd make our own cigarettes. Yeah. It was a tough life, but I brought up my 3 daughters on that farm, and we eventually bought our own farm. That was my goal. He wanted to stay with his mum and his dad, and I said no. we're going to get our own farm. And so we bought this beautiful farm in far north Queensland, and believe it or not, you're not going to believe where it was. We ended up buying a farm next to what is now known as Skybury Coffee. That's where it is, in Mareeba. It was in Mareeba.
Wow.
It's still there. The tobacco farm's not there. The tobacco's not there.
But
they diversified into other things.
And are they growing coffee on your old farm?
No, the Skybury's still growing the coffee.
Yeah.
And I remember where Skybury is now today. I remember the two brothers, the two South African brothers, that they were the pioneers of coffee.
Of growing coffee
in
Queensland?
In Queensland, I think in Australia. And we all thought these guys were nuts because we were all growing tobacco and they were growing coffee.
Why coffee?
I don't know. They were South African, these two brothers. Gosh, what were their names again? Nat and something. I can't remember their names, but they were the pioneers. If you look it up, the history of coffee up there, they were the pioneers of coffee.
I remember tasting coffee that had been grown in Queensland.
Right.
And I remember when I tasted it for the first time, it tasted like dirt.
Oh, it was horrible. Thank you for saying that.
So bad.
That's what we all, because they invited us, all the neighbouring farmers, all the tobacco farmers.
And you know who gave it to me to taste it the first time? It was Toby.
Oh, really?
And he's like, taste this. And I'm like, it tastes like dirt.
Interesting. Wow.
And he's like, you sure? And I'm like, well, I don't know, like I'm still young in my career and blah, blah, blah. But I was just confused why we were trying to grow coffee in Australia.
I mean, coffee can grow in that type of soil and climate.
Okay.
Because Mareeba is, it's tropical, it's subtropical, so you can grow tobacco in that sort of climate. And Mareeba had a climate where it didn't get too cold and didn't get too hot. So it was a really good climate to grow tobacco and coffee. But they failed many times, those poor guys. And as I said, eventually now it's Skybury. It's a tourist destination.
Yeah.
So my farm was virtually, I don't know, a couple of kilometres up the hill from there. It's stunning place.
Do you still have the farm?
No.
Are they still growing tobacco on there, or is it completely diversified?
Completely diversified. I think back in 1992 or 1990, something like that. Yeah. I remember that time when we had to stop growing tobacco. There was no more. I mean,
so the government changed rules.
It was the tariffs that got too high, and the manufacturers here were starting to buy more imported coffee and filling the cigarettes with imported
tobacco.
Filling
the cigarettes with imported coffee.
That's hilarious,
could be
isn't it? Coffee flavour.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, funny. Yeah, so
why? Like, you look at what's going on with coffee now, and you have like the Lamastas family going through really hard times in previous generations, previous decades, trying to adapt with coffee, trying to find different ways to do things, breaking away, and now recently selling the first, over $1,000 a pound coffee. Why was it just that kind of a model wasn't established, and it wasn't the right thing to do with tobacco to say, well, if that's the case and people are undercutting it, perhaps we can create a specialty version of tobacco? Or is that it just wasn't the thing that you did?
No, it wasn't.
You know what I mean?
It's an interesting question. I just remember, because we had like this tobacco association, and we'd all front up to the association and demand, better prices. It was the same sort of thing in a way.
I'm finding with all the research that I'm doing when it comes to agricultural commodities, and the brokers that I'm talking to, the agricultural associations that I'm talking to, one thing I'm starting to understand, one, we're amongst the most complex agricultural products on the planet, and two, irrespective of how complex or not it is, everyone's experiencing the same clusterfuckery.
Yeah. In coffee you're talking about, right? Yeah.
Between everything.
Yeah.
So coffee, corn, grain,
I know.
frozen orange juice,
wow.
hogs, everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I think one word, it's probably really simple. Sort of, my theory is just greed. There's a lot of greed.
I was going to say corruption.
Yeah, it's just greed.
It's
and this is why I guess I'm so interested in regional coffees, and I really do want to try and help. Not try. I am helping the smallholder coffee farmers in PNG. To forget the sort of forget the commodity market and diversify into the specialty market.
Because this is a big passion of yours.
Yeah,
like anyone
is.
who doesn't, if you're listening in or watching and you haven't been to Gina's Instagram or the Numero Uno Instagram, it is well worth going to, because there's some incredible photos from a recent trip that you took to PNG.
Yeah.
It's at Numero Uno Coffee, right?
Or Numero Uno Coffee, yeah.
At Numero Uno Coffee and at Gina Di Brita.
Yeah.
Head there and check it out. Like, it's incredible. There's a new video that went up.
Yeah, so
today.
Chris Pick, I took this, he's amazing. Best thing I ever did. Because this time I thought, no, I'm going to document this.
Yeah, it's
I've
incredible.
never taken anything before, but this time I said, and I was lucky to have this guy come with me. And he wasn't just a videographer. He just had this amazing mind behind the camera. He was thinking business-wise for the farmers. He was just amazing. He was, I'm so glad I brought him along, and everyone loved him.
He captured it perfectly.
He captured everything. And you wait and see what else he's captured.
I can't
This is
wait.
nothing. This is just a snippet.
I can't
He was
wait.
constantly on the go. He was constantly working. It was just amazing. You know how some people you bring along and they'll just sit there and they miss things. They miss things, right?
Well, they just don't give any
They
fucks.
don't give, but he did. He was in there. I was just so proud of him. He was the best thing I did, bringing him along.
Yeah,
amazing.
Wow. So you have this kind of, I want to say passion, but it's not even a passion. It's like a mission.
No, passion. I think people throw that word around too much. I think for me, I really care.
You're determined.
When you meet people, and I've got images that I cannot now forget. You can't forget these images.
Mm-hmm.
And when they start coming to you, please, can you help me? Can you help me? The children just want to have books to read. I said, so I was meeting coffee families and coffee communities where the children were going to school with no shoes, and and they've never seen a library. And for me, I grew up in libraries. One thing, I love libraries. I love books. I love real books. Forget e-books for me. And when they said that to me, like and some of them spoke really good English. Most of them did. Well, the kids, but some of the mums were, so they were coming up to me, and one of the teachers pulled me aside. She was the teacher for this huge community of kids.
This
was in Goroka.
So it's a rural kind of.
Yeah, it was very remote. It was in Goroka in the Eastern Highlands
of Papua New Guinea.
And I don't know, Chris captured some moments with me and the kids, and I didn't even know
it's a great photo.
Yeah,
of you right in the middle of all of them.
I know. I didn't even think, but I've had people say that is amazing.
Yeah, we used it for the.
I know. When I saw that, I thought
awesome.
it must be really good.
It is really good
because when you're there, you just don't think of that.
Yeah, wow.
But
you're very photogenic, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Really?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I want to keep encouraging you with that shit, because you haven't stepped in front of the camera enough.
Yeah.
And you haven't been front of centre.
Right. No.
And
I've always put other people first.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, that's
and
a part of our conditioning as women.
I think so. Yes. But it's not that I want to put myself in front of the camera just for the sake of being in front of the camera, because I'm actually I'm not scared of being in front of the camera. I am shy to speak sometimes, funnily enough.
Thank you for doing this then.
Funnily enough. Because if I'm put on the spot, it's like, I'm hoping I won't forget something.
Oh, I've got some shit to put you on the spot about today, don't you worry.
No, I just feel that there is a need for people to really reach these communities and do some real, groundwork and visit these places, because they were saying to me that they'd never seen a white woman there before.
What?
Never. They've never seen. They said, you are the first white woman, to come and visit us.
That's amazing.
And I just went along. We didn't even plan it. Nothing was planned with this trip. Nothing.
You just turned up.
We just the guys that Elijah, and he's got some amazing people that work for him. They said, would you like to come and visit my tribe now? And I go, yeah, okay, where is it? 3-4 hours in four-wheel drive. So all drive four-wheel drives, and all these roads that were not roads, they were like bumpity all the way, and ditches, and it was so dirty and dusty. But when I reached, there was one particular village where you'll see I'm surrounded by all those people. Okay. That was my heart moment.
Really?
That was my heart moment. I'd seen a lot of other places, but that was my heart moment. I just think if people get the opportunity to travel, go and see what they've got. They've got nothing, but they are the happiest. I was overwhelmed by the love.
Really?
I went into a bit of shock when the women, they just, like...
The connection, the physical contact.
The physical contact, and they really hugged me, like squeezed me, and I went into a bit of shock at first.
Which is interesting, right? Because we've both grown up in cultures where we're very tactile.
Touchy, right?
And yet I feel like over the years, like when I was a kid, and I don't know if it's because I'm now older or because the culture has changed, if the disconnection that exists in culture now, but I've gone from being quite a tactile person to feeling like now you've got to ask for permission to touch people.
No, I loved it. I thought these women just didn't hold back. They just all hugged me.
Wow.
And it was incredible. And that's the thing. They've got nothing, but they had so much love, and
Do
had
they
so much...
vocalise that? Do they feel that they have nothing? Or is it from our perception of that?
Yeah, I think they do realise they've got no books and they've got no shoes.
But they've got food.
But they've got food, and they're a community.
And
they
they've got
stick
each
together.
other.
They've got each other. Like I watched one scenario where this little boy, hurt. They were both having a fight, and one of them got hurt more than the other. And all of them, like there was a few of the mothers that went, and it was just incredible to watch. They all pitched in to sort this little incident out, and it was just so nice to see here. Everyone's left to their own demise. Yeah. We go back into our own little apartments, and I don't know, it was just this family thing. It was this connection. They say one talk. One talk means, we are the people.
You speak as one voice?
As one voice.
Oh, wow.
And that came up a lot. One chills. Talk.
Jesus, every time I sit with you, I get so many chills. Every time I talk with you, it's very intense. I love it.
Sorry.
Hey, this is not a sorry thing. This is one of those things. Cheers to you.
Yeah, cheers. It's good kombucha.
It is good kombucha.
I'd like to have the elixir next time.
Yeah, no, I'll hook you up with some tomorrow for sure. I brought a couple of bottles with me from the US. So.
Right. Gosh, I feel like you're my sister. I feel like I've known you forever. It's crazy.
It's very strange.
18 years and we've never crossed paths.
No, and we had our first conversation just like a month ago or something.
I know, on the phone, and we're like...
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. I feel like I want to go to Origin with you. I've never been to Origin.
Come. I had a few women reach out and say, I really want to go. And I said, come with me
Would you do something like that? Would you create
I would.
I don't know. Has there ever been anyone that's done like a let's go all women
to Origin?
No,
I don't think so.
We
but
should
I would definitely
do
that.
Like that.
I would definitely do that, but we must bring books for the kids. But I am going to do something about that anyway.
So that's a thing. These kids are desperate
These kids
for
have
books.
never seen books.
They've never seen books.
No, the teachers want... I said, well, how do you read to them? She said, I've got to draw them pictures, and then I've got to tell stories.
That's amazing.
I know. I've got to tell stories.
As Henny in the background sucks on an elixir. He's like, yes, that is amazing. I think I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's true though.
Books.
Gosh, books, I know. We throw them out. We dispose of them. But no books and no shoes, and the floor was dust. They were playing in dust, and I'm like, wow. And the huts.
To them, that's life.
It is. They don't know any better, really. Don't. Yeah.
But it's intriguing. They speak. How do they learn how to speak the language that they speak? What is the language they speak? Excuse me.
Oh, it's all pidgin.
Pidgin.
Pidgin, yeah, I don't know. But, there's there's
Dialects.
hundreds of different, dialects that they all speak. But, it's a beautiful place. It's an amazing place. And a place is always made up of people, good people.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. When I say beautiful place, it's not just the amazing environment, mountains, and it's the people.
Yeah, for sure.
I really was practically the only white woman amongst all these PNG people. It was just amazing.
And were the village that you were in, are they all coffee farmers? Do they all work together as well as live together?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do some intercropping because they have to survive, and they're
what's
very
intercropping?
So they so sometimes they'll plant like
co-planting?
Yeah, like they'll plant. Their big thing up there is taro and sweet potato and all that sort of thing. So they'll intercrop. Some don't intercrop. Some will, plant away from their coffee. But what I found consistently across the whole board was that the stories of, they're not getting paid, at the farm gate. They're not getting paid for the work that they do. So a lot of them are just leaving their trees. Yes, they do. Yes, okay. They do. They deal in kina when they get paid. But, I've already come up with a few suggestions where I think the blockchain thing would be fantastic. But I think it's straightforward. Like, if I'm buying their coffee, I put it directly into their account, straight into an account, no middleman.
You can do it that direct?
Yeah.
How do you get the coffee out of there?
Well, through Elijah. He's got his own shipping company.
Okay.
It is a little bit difficult, but since the symposium, from that coffee symposium
that happened, which one?
In Port Moresby this year. That was where the whole coffee study report was discussed. Yep.
Just want to check that we're still doing okay with the Wi-Fi. Nawar, are you doing any fuckery with the Wi-Fi? Okay. That's fine. Let's just see our red line. It's all good. Just keep your phone close. For anyone who's listening, we've had some Wi-Fi issues here in Sydney, Australia today, and see, when that goes green, we should be golden. Right. Oh no, we haven't stopped. We'll continue to be going.
I'm learning about podcasts.
It's all good. So why don't you just peek in a little bit so people can see that you're standing there? Just bend forward a little bit. This is Noah.
Hello, Noah.
Everyone saw you on the podcast recently.
I've been on it every day.
And I think the other thing also, I didn't realise the impact as a woman I would have on the women there.
Tell me about that.
That was huge. I didn't even think about that. But the women were coming to me and, not only just hugging me and touching me, but thank you so much for coming to visit us. Thank you for seeing,
Wow.
It was like, thank you. I'm like,
for just visiting.
Just visiting. Thank you. It was like that.
Is it that they're feeling seen?
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, I'm the sort of person that if I promise something, I've got to go through with it. Yeah. I'm not just going there to sightsee. They say, one of the guys said that, the big corporates that go there, the big corporations, the coffee corporations that go there, they'll go there for 5 minutes to sightsee and then they'll pull out. They don't even get out of the car to say hello. So that's why they couldn't believe it.
Really?
Yeah. That's what they told me that. That's why I was surprised. We were on the way back and Elijah's right-hand man would say, Gina, I've never seen anyone interact like that with my people. I'm like, really?
So so the big corporations that go there, what are they looking for? Are they looking to acquire new land?
Yeah, Are there
big coffee farms over there?
There are some big plantations, but most of them are smallholder. Where I went was smallholder coffee farmers, where they own little plots, and they call them coffee gardens. It was really
how
cute. And a coffee.
Like how small are we talking?
Oh, we're
a couple
talking
of acres? Or?
Yeah, we could even 1 hectare.
Wow.
You know, it could be.
Filled with coffee?
Yes, they've all got coffee plants.
What
coffee
varietals
trees.
are we talking?
They've got the Blue Mountain mainly, and the Arusha, and Bourbons in some parts, and I think Typica, but mainly Blue Mountain and Arusha.
All native varietals, or are they like?
Well,
did they,
no,
how did it end up?
Blue Mountain. I can't remember who brought it in, but that was introduced. I could be wrong. It could have been the Dutch. I could be wrong, but that was introduced. Those coffee was introduced
Is
to
it?
Papua New
Oh,
Guinea.
okay. So it's not native.
No,
to
it's not
Papua New
native.
Guinea.
No.
But the climate is ripe for
Oh,
coffee.
it's a beautiful climate in Goroka. When
It
you
grows
go
easy?
Goroka, it doesn't really. It's a really good temperature. It fluctuates between 16 to 24 degrees. I think
Yeah, wow.
in winter, yes, it drops a little bit, but it doesn't get any hotter really than 24 degrees.
And so it operates as a microclimate. That's perfect for coffee.
Exactly, perfect for coffee.
Yeah,
and the
wow.
trees, most of them looked really healthy.
We've got a couple of people in the background that are whispering a little bit
And
louder
munching.
than whisper. And remember, it's a condenser mic. It picks up everything in the room. So No, I'm not worried about them hearing you. I'm worried about you saying something you don't want anyone to hear. And someone who listens too difficult in the background, they listen very hard, they can hear who you're talking about. Just a heads up.
Not that they were
This
talking about
popcorn's
anyone.
amazing, is that what you were saying? So just be careful if you're shit talking somebody in the industry. That for anyone
on,
who's
guys.
listening, we've
I
got
don't
some
think
people
so.
in the room for the first time ever on this podcast. So fun times ahead. I just hope you're not sitting there regretting something that you just said. Great. So when it comes to going and visiting these kinds of communities, after seeing the way that you engaged on your social media, like you were telling a story, right? What kind of a connection do you leave there with? Because my impression after what I saw was that this is now a lifelong relationship you're going to have with these people.
Oh, yeah. You can't just go there and sightsee and then get out. No way.
What does it do to you?
It, funnily enough, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but immediately it holds me accountable to what I've witnessed, you know? It just holds me accountable. You can't just walk away and just... Because coffee, you know, most people don't know what the conditions are.
So tell us what the condition. Tell us, like...
It's all labour intensive. It's not, you know, like, okay, if you go to Brazil, everything's beautifully...
Mechanised.
It's all mechanised, so it's a different story to these type of places. But, you know, and it's their livelihoods.
So what do coffee farms look like over there? Like, does it look like... And I haven't been to Origin, so I don't quite know the difference between them, but are we talking about lots of manual labour? Are we talking
it's
about
all,
well-built farms? Are we talking... What's the go?
You know, some of the farms were kept beautifully, you know, in those regions. A lot of the coffee was grown in foresty locations,
Wow.
but not rows. They just, and I'm like, how do they go and find the coffee? You know, so, and they pointed out that, and you could see it. Yeah, okay, there's the coffee. So they were grown in mountainous ranges.
Have you ever seen any of those videos where the blossoms, through, like the coffee trees, are in the forest?
Yeah,
and
yes,
the
I have.
the
It's
trees.
beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's like
stunning.
a wonderland, isn't it?
Colombia's like that.
Is it?
Colombia, I'll never forget what I saw there as well.
A friend of mine has a coffee farm in El Salvador, and she was driving through, videoing this, and it looks like a winter wonderland.
Oh, that would be gorgeous. Yeah.
She said, if only you could smell this.
Wow. Yeah, because it's like a jasmine blossom. It's beautiful.
It must be incredible.
Really is.
There's
it wasn't flowering when I went, unfortunately. It was starting to. That's another thing. They talked about climate change amongst the people.
Is it
Yes.
affecting them?
Yes, it is.
Tell me how.
Because with climate change in some of the areas, they're constantly picking, they're constantly harvesting.
Really?
Yeah, they used to know the season.
And now they don't.
And now it's like we don't know anymore. It's like it just keeps...
So do they keep Cherries keep popping up?
Cherries just keep popping up. So Elijah was telling me in some of the areas the coffee, becomes ripe later on in the year, where it was once, I think May or June, whatever. Now it's like November. That's how much it's shifted.
So help me understand, do you know a lot about what's going on with regards to climate change in coffee?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
I know not a lot at all. So help me understand what we're experiencing around the world. Like, are some places benefiting from the shifts that are happening as a result of climate change?
Look, the thing is, I get different, some people will deny that there is climate change.
Don't you find those humans strange?
I do, because there is evidence. And if you talk to the locals who tell you, yes, with climate change, things have changed. You've got to just talk to anyone in agriculture. Yeah. Talking to these guys, they said, yes, with climate change, their seasons are all over the place.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, they still do their main harvest, but a lot of the regions, more remote, they got there was cherries there. Like, what are we in now? September. Yeah, there was some cherries growing on trees. Yeah, well, I was there. We went and had a look. I've got photos actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how do they manage that? Is it that there's more
and
coffee?
See, that makes it harder to organise pickers, because climate change does throw things out. It sort of scatters the seasons when you think about it.
When they're a village that's just so, as a village, are they going out there and working the land together?
So what I found, a lot of them don't want to go back to do coffee. Some of them were letting weeds just overtake the plants, and me being there, encourage them. Seriously, like, they turned it like that. It didn't take days or weeks or months. It didn't take negotiation. It just took one person to say, why are you turning away from your crop? This is what I can do. And
it's hope, right?
And we can give you. So we guaranteed, the cooperative and myself guaranteed a price, whereas the CIC, the Coffee Industry Corporation,
is that based in
Goroka, won't give them a guaranteed price.
Why?
So I said, well, how are we going to change the industry if you're not going to give these farmers a guaranteed price? How are you going to change it? We've had this great report, this great coffee report done by Andrew Hetzel. We've done this symposium, but how are we going to change things moving forward? How are we really going to, give these people their dignity to go back into their coffee? A lot of them just didn't want to. They started looking at other crops, but in saying that, I said, okay. So I started to realise that even with their vegetables and their fruit, the prices fluctuate. So I said, look, coffee is the second largest traded commodity after oil. It's precious.
It's actually...
Is it not?
Not
anymore?
No. So I had said this on this podcast once, and when I had Greg Minahan on, and he, even from World Coffee Research, he said, Leo, I didn't want to correct you on the podcast.
Correct me, yeah.
And so it's only because...
go
please
on.
Don't be offended that I'm correcting you on it. It's
all.
just that I've been meaning to find an opportunity to correct myself about this on the podcast.
And?
So I'd previously said, because that's a well-known thing that everyone's like, coffee's the second most traded commodity in the world.
Okay.
It's not even 20th.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not even in the top 20.
Why has that been a saying for years and years?
It was at one point.
Right, not anymore.
No, it's not even in the top 20 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I found that out. I just found that out.
Well, and the thing is, I wonder why that's the case. Because year on year, for the past 4 years, the yield has continually gone up. 4 years in a row, we're producing more coffee than demand.
Probably Brazil. And Colombia.
Colombia and Vietnam, the top three.
But places like Papua New Guinea,
it's
dropped.
going down.
Yeah.
But from what I'm hearing from you, it's gone down because of their disinterest or their lack of feeling that they should keep up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because they're not being paid for
Yeah,
what
well.
they do. They're not
Which
being,
is fair enough. Like, if you're not being appreciated and nobody wants
Exactly.
it, why would you keep doing it?
yeah, because it is labour intensive. It's a lot of work, coffee. The
Super-
process is,
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot of work.
I'm trying to get people to understand. Peace out, mate. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. I'm so excited. You're going to brew that for me tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow morning I'll come early. We'll brew it.
Yeah. Come in.
Sounds good. Can you brew it now or not?
Yeah, we'll
Noel was tasted too. He was.
Yeah, we can, because we'll have an
grinders.
EK there
Yeah, we'll
tomorrow.
have an EK there, and we'll bring a V60 or something.
Yeah, just make it work.
Well, that
Well,
sounds good.
yeah, you came third, so we want to taste it.
Yeah, really good. Really good. Doesn't
Cheers.
matter what you do at least.
Cheers. We'll see you tomorrow, right? See you later. Thanks for coming past. So what it sounds like is that when they're sensing that they're not appreciated and that people don't, there's no real connection to the end consumer.
There's no incentive for them to get up every day and nurture those trees, because it is really labour intensive.
When I try to explain to people how complex an agricultural product coffee is,
Yeah.
they don't quite grasp it until you start talking to them about just what happens up to the farm gate
Yeah.
and how that isn't even easily defined. When I try to explain to people the complexity of the coffee supply chain,
Yeah.
and I know I'm in a privileged position of having a podcast that I can bring incredible people onto and sit and have focused conversations for 3
Yeah.
hours and say, hey, listen, so I'm a dum-dum. I know nothing about this stuff. Well, I'm not a dum-dum, but
No.
with regards to this subject, I
Yeah.
was a dum-dum. And I would sit here and say to people, so wait, I don't understand what you mean by farm gate. I don't understand what you mean by going to and I haven't been to Origin, so I've been able to sit here and create in my mind an atlas of what the coffee supply chain looks like around the world.
Yeah.
And it is so intricate.
It really is. It's even just, the complexity in the Eastern Highlands, the way the coffee is traded just in that region. There's so many middle people, I didn't realise. And these are farmers and just buyers and, just small little buyers. You'll see some photos where we go to these markets. So they've got markets all set up. Some will just not travel with their, 60-kilo bag on their back.
They carry it?
They carry it, because there's no donkeys, there's no motorbikes, they carry it. They carry it all the way down to the market. Sometimes it'll
How
take
far?
a day to reach the markets.
And they're carrying a
They carry
60-kilo
it.
bag.
Oh yeah, I've got photos and videos to prove it. They carry it.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's
And-
crazy. You'd be driving along and you'd see these guys and these women carrying these coffee bags.
on their heads, on their backs.
Some were on their heads, some were on their backs.
And what's the return on investment? What does the amount that they're making from a bag of coffee?
See, this is the thing. I mean, there was so many different. It was really complex, honestly. I just thought, wow, I didn't realise how complex it was, because there's all these other middlemen involved before it gets to the actual big corporation. So they're the ones that make the most money in the end. It's these little buyers will put on, 50 kina more each step of the way.
Just to give us some context,
So,
what does 50 kina buy
Okay, so
you?
just say three kina will give you $1.29. Our $1.29. So 3 kina is $1.29.
What can you buy for that?
So-
can you get a Coke?
I didn't buy Coke over
Well,
there.
well,
so
what could you
so
buy for that?
So for a kilo of coffee
Yeah,
in parchment,
yeah.
so parchment is at the dry stage,
Yep.
not in cherry. They were getting, and there's a process to get it to parchment. There's a process from cherry to parchment.
Yeah.
And so they were getting. I'd asked some of the women and the men, so how much do you think you'll sell this today? And he said, oh, we'll get 3 kina, which is $1.29 per kilo.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, isn't that interesting? That's the price. $1.30
Yeah, but
is
about-
what Fair Trade International
Right,
guarantees as a minimum.
right.
That's very interesting.
Guarantees as a minimum. But then again, you've got to understand the inputs. What are the inputs?
So that's who's typically getting $1.29. Is it the person who's processed it? Is that FOB, by the way?
No, that's not FOB.
That's just at
That's
the mill?
at the farm gate.
So,
That's just
okay.
the farmer. The farmer, yeah, it's very complex.
It really is. Like,
really
this
is.
is why you've
And
got to break that.
And there was different variations of prices because, so the farmer would sometimes sell the cherry at maybe 80 cents.
Yeah, wow.
They'd get 80 cents.
So do they sell it to a Chianti or do they sell it directly to the mill?
No, some will sell to the
Chianti
and
some
which
will
I don't
sell
know
to
what it's called over there, but it's not Chianti, but it's
you know,
very
it's
similar.
The
I
person
knew what
who's
you meant.
like the
middleman.
middleman.
Middlemen, and there's so many along the way. It's really interesting. Interesting.
And this is
but
why
the pickers don't get a lot. They get maybe 30 to 40 cents
per pound.
Per kilo, probably less actually. They're in Toya, and I'm like, oh. And one guy goes, oh, well, we couldn't get pickers. And I said, why? And he goes, well, because we'd tell them how much we'd pay them and they'd walk away.
Yeah, funny.
And we just let our crops just go. And I said, but why didn't you just pay? And he goes, well, it's more complex than you think, Jen, because they weren't going to give us the price that we wanted at the other end.
Yep.
So it's all this complexity of pricing structure along the way.
When you look at the business side of coffee, you'd never go into it, given the amount of fuckery that's involved, right?
I know. And I actually told the story of what we have to put up with here. They got the third world problems. We've got the first world.
How did they
They
respond
were
to
in
that?
shock.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I was speaking to some farmers in Panama.
Yeah.
And they were talking to me about one of their customers that I know that they used to sell coffee to. And they were bitching and moaning to me about how this person doesn't buy coffee from them anymore.
Right. Wow.
Because they don't know why they doesn't buy coffee from them anymore. This person used to buy a container off them.
Right.
And they said, you know, he just stopped buying. And I knew stuff about this cafe owner in the sense that they had incurred an increase in land taxes that they had to pay for a bunch of the properties that their cafes were operating.
So he probably went looking for a cheaper price.
He wasn't going and looking for cheaper price. He wasn't. He had to find coffee that at the set price that was the best quality he could afford. You know, he wasn't looking to pay less.
No,
he was just looking to buy coffee that was within the price bracket of what he had. Where the farmer wasn't going to be feeling like they were ripped off. And he couldn't afford this particular coffee from this farmer.
I really get it because I've been at both ends. I've been at all ends of the coffee industry.
And so when I mentioned to this farmer, well, it's not that he didn't want to buy your coffee, it's that, by the way, I know that he's incurred these extra costs. And he was shocked to hear this.
I bet he was.
And he said, it's really surprising to me that this has happened because we have the impression that all of these cafe owners are driving around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And I said, listen, I have to help you guys. And I'm on a mission to help producers understand that the mess that they're experiencing at the back end of the supply chain is exactly the same as the other extreme.
It's true.
When we did the numbers for the Maple Forward conference last year, we found, and there was an accountant that came and presented these numbers and shocked the shit out of me when I found out that the average Australian cafe makes 17 cents per cup on a latte. That's the net profit.
After everything, rent, wages.
Right.
And, you know, these days everything's got to go on the books, right?
Yeah,
everything.
Well, there's no cash anymore.
There's no, you can't, you've got to, everything's got to be above board. And these guys were shocked when we broke down what a cup of coffee costs. They were like, And they just got a totally different concept. Well, we've got first world problems, they've got third world problems, you know what I mean?
And they're all third world problems.
And this is the problem.
It's challenge. And I think I sit here a lot when I hear so many people talk about this on the podcast. We've got so many challenges that are confronting our industry right now. We've got climate change. We've got the coffee price crisis. We've got employees looking at, well, I don't like how I'm being treated, so I'm going to fuck off and go somewhere else. And then you've got employers saying, well, we want to pay you more, but you're not working hard enough, so fuck you, go somewhere else. And then on top of that, you've got automation coming, and you've got a recession looming, and you've got all of this stuff, and people... Too many cafes opening. We're saturated right now. And too many boutique roasters.
And a lot of closing too.
Well,
a lot
not enough.
Probably not enough.
Not enough. I'm on a mission to help. I'm on a mission to help two things. I want to slow down the number of people that are opening cafes, and I want to help people close gracefully and quickly. Because the amount of talent that could be re-injected back into the industry after people have tried to run businesses and failed, the appreciation they have for how hard it is to run a business can really catapult their careers. I say to people, as having been a business owner that's been working full-time in my own businesses for 3 years and not having a supplemental income, I would make an extraordinary employee.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know the facts. And they are facts.
You're poor constantly. Yeah. No matter how much your company's making.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's so true. The other thing also just today, with the roasting side. Yeah. When something goes wrong with your roaster, and all these roasters will agree with me. Yeah. It's not little money that
I know,
you got to pay. It's so expensive
and the
to keep the maintenance of a roaster, and then the downtime, and it's happened to me. It's happened to me a few times.
It's why I'm encouraging this model that CRS has got going. Because, collective roasting solutions is an opportunity to help brands dabble before they go full.
Yeah, true. Good point.
And my thing is, I want everyone to be a business owner. I think that the way to freedom, and as someone who's working hard to find financial freedom, and I'm 10 years off, right? But it's a journey that I've never been very good at, and it's my study of self right now what's my relationship with financial freedom? Why have I been so scared of it? Why have I felt that I didn't deserve it? Well, it's all the women things, right?
It is the women thing.
You grow
up.
I'm
so glad we're talking about this, because I thought I was the only one thinking that way.
Right.
But I do think it is a woman thing. Yeah. And I've been told blatantly in my face, if I ever was to be really firm, I'm seen as a bitch or whatever. And it's like, there was a point there where I just had to really be careful how to get around situations, especially with employees and dealing with the public. It was an interesting time, and now I'm like, I've now been through enough to know who I am as a person, just as a person. And I'm the same in business and wherever I go. So it takes a long time. It takes a lot of challenges to reach that point where you really, and the beautiful thing is you start to realise who you don't want to do business with anymore. Right. That's it for me.
It's like you get this clarity.
Oh, it's a clarity.
And you can see through the clusterfuckery.
See it? Yeah, exactly. I like that word. I reckon
I love that word.
There was another one I used to.
It really does work. It encapsulates so much, because that idea of the clusterfuckery, and I'm trying to figure out how to define it so I can create a t-shirt for the industry.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Because it's made up of so many things.
I think know who you are. Know who you are.
Well, that's a journey unto itself, right?
It is. Because it is this constant figuring out, especially for women, I think. And it was very male-dominated for me, but I didn't see that. I got it pointed out to me in the beginning. It was really bizarre. When I started off thinking as a business person, not a woman in business. But then I got all these comments thrown at me.
And then you were aware, I'm a woman in business, because everybody else has pointed out that I'm a woman.
Oh gosh. So I had to start thinking, and sometimes overthinking, how would I approach this, and how will I dress here? And I got so many different, but in saying that, 90% of my customers are beautiful males that have been with me for so many years, and they respect who I am as a person and what I do, not that I'm a woman.
Do you know when I felt that for the first time in the coffee industry? Because I was in the music industry before this. But in the coffee industry, the first time I was hyper aware of being a woman running a business was when somebody said to me, it's a shame that it's a woman that's running Elixir.
Oh.
Because if it was a man, the industry wouldn't have such a problem with it.
That is weird. But I believe that was said because I've had some weird ones too, trust me. That is really disgusting.
And
I
was
find
said
that really
many times.
disgusting.
And you know, when you tell other people that that's what's been said to me, they're like, well, it's true.
Yeah.
The fuck do you mean that it's true?
Unbelievable.
And part of me is like, well, yeah, it is true. It hurts that it's true. It's disgusting that it's true.
Well, in whose eyes?
But they're not wrong. Like the cognitive dissonance I experienced because of Elixir is crazy.
Yeah.
And a meme came up the other day, and I'm not going to mention which meme it was because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of describing what the meme is. But somebody compared it was a meme where they had someone levitating and someone running away.
Right.
And they were saying that the person levitating is us, and the person running away was God, and that's how God would react to Elixir.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was.
They should be thrown into jail for that.
In the sense that what they're saying is that God was scared by the devil rising.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's like, this shit, seriously? We're 5 years into this journey and we're still experiencing this clusterfuckery.
Well, I can tell you guys, this woman I'm sitting with, she's amazing. She's awesome.
Thank you.
She's awesome. In real person, in real life, she's amazing.
Back to you.
Yeah.
When you decide to go on this journey and people around you are making you hyper aware that you're a woman.
Yeah. Guess what it did to me?
What?
It made me more bloody determined.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because by this time you've owned a tobacco farm, you've raised a family, you've divorced, you are trying to figure out, like, you've done so many of the hard things that so many... I want to say, I was going to say women, and then I was like, I don't want to say it's just women because it is men.
It's men and women.
But it is a typical story for women.
Yeah, it
like,
is
not all women are owning a tobacco farm, but a lot of women are right in there working really hard and then end up single mothers and then decide, well, fuck this, I'm gonna conquer it.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Because I know it got hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. You haven't told me it got hard, but I know for every business owner, you just hit that point where it gets excruciatingly hard.
Yes. And I can tell you now, and I just feel like saying it because I probably would never have mentioned this, but how many nights I went home crying. Yeah, crying, thinking...
I've been there.
You know, because I had some betrayals by certain people, you know, in the industry. And I'd go home and I'd be in tears and crying and thinking, wow.
And it's hard not to take that shit personal.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Everybody says, really don't take it personal. It happens to everybody. I'm sorry.
It's hard. But, you know, there's that horrible cliche of what doesn't break you, you know, it really does make you. And that's how you've got to, you know, there's this whole mindset thing. There's this whole, if you can get through those challenges, like really truly get through it and become a better person, not a bitter person, but a better person, you've got the secret to go forward.
I often say to people, business is going to teach you everything you never wanted to know about yourself.
That's a good way of putting it.
And if you've got what it takes, you should do it anyway.
Yeah.
But not everybody has what it takes.
No.
In the moment that they've decided.
Yeah.
I had Steve Chang on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He's the owner of Cofinet, based in Pasadena, LA, and they've got 7 cafes. And he was the owner of his family, his wife's family, owns the largest noodle manufacturing company in the US.
Yeah, I saw a bit of that interview. It's amazing.
And we started our companies around the same time. And he was the first Elixir dealer in the US.
Oh,
and
really?
we're great friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And now 5 years later, we were talking about it on the podcast, and I said to him, if you had have known it was going to be this hard, would you have done it? He's like, no. And
Yeah.
I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
If you had have told me that I was going to have to have endured the things that I have endured, and one day I'm going to write a book that's going to blow people
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
over the shit that's happened and
Yeah.
been said and done, and betrayals, and people coming after me, and death threats and all that kind of stuff.
Awful.
For what? I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Wow.
The cognitive dissonance. I have had people come up to me and apologize to me for the things I didn't know that they did behind my back.
Really?
But after listening to this podcast
Yeah.
and seeing all the stuff that has happened with Map It Forward,
Yeah.
they felt they had to confess it to me
Really?
in order to cleanse themselves. And it's happened multiple times.
Wow.
People walk up to me in cafes around the world and they're like, I'm one of those people who talked horrible about you and I need to say sorry.
Wow.
And then, like, I don't know how to take that, because other people say, it's nice, isn't that nice of them? And I'm like,
Wow.
well, it depends on
It
how you look at it,
depends, yeah.
because you forget, like, on the other side of that, people have been trying to destroy me for the last 5 years. I
Wow.
released a product into the industry
So was it through your elixir you're talking
for
about?
Elixir.
Really? That's just
Gina,
it's,
you've not,
That
people
is just
were
bizarre.
contacting me from around the world saying, I'm going to come and find you and ruin you.
what, for an amazing product like Elixir. That was your invention,
It was
right?
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brutal. The
I
things that were
cannot,
being...
I cannot believe that.
James
I can't believe
Hoffman posted a video. Shout out to James. He came on the podcast and we talked about this. He posts this video doing a review about Elixir. Like, he was
Right.
doing all these clear coffees.
Right.
And everyone kept saying to him, like, you've got to do Elixir, you've got to do Elixir.
Right.
And it's not a clear coffee, but he got so many people asking for it that he does it. All right, he does it. And when it came out, like, my phone blew up, and I didn't know it was coming out. I didn't know he was doing it, and I was getting ready to come to Australia for the 3-day conference last year.
Okay, yeah,
So it happened at the worst time,
right.
because I was in production trying to make sure that all the elixir that we needed
Yeah.
to get out for the month that I was going to be, he had gotten out.
Right.
Didn't have time to watch the video. Everyone was like, it was taken two ways. Some people were warning me not to watch it. Other people were saying, congratulations, it's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
And so I watched the video and I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. He was saying, if you can afford it, drink it.
Yeah, right.
Everyone should try this.
Right.
It's not like, and it was our worst elixir of the year. I specifically remember when this roaster sent us the coffee and we made this elixir. I'm like, look, it's good, but it's not our best of the
It's not
year.
your standard.
And then, like, when we got to the end of the year and I went through and, like, kind of went, well, what's the best elixir that we've served this year, and what's the least best elixir that we've served
Yeah.
this year? And that was the least best
Right.
elixir. But nobody contacted me and said, hey, we're going to do a review on elixir.
Right.
What should we... No. Someone bought it, sent it to him, and he did it. And it happened to be our worst
That one.
elixir, right?
No.
And the roast was baked, etc., etc. Sometimes when the roast is baked, the elixir develops further.
Oh.
But it didn't happen with this particular coffee. Anyway, so I watch it, and from my music career, I know better than to read the comments. So I didn't read the comments.
Okay.
Fast forward a year later, and James is coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I watched that video once. I want to go back and watch it so that we can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I watch it, and I fucked up. Half an hour before the podcast, I watched that video, and then I started reading the comments.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I recognized some of the names in the comments.
Oh, really? Wow.
And one of them, in particular, made me so angry that I was going to pick up the phone and absolutely destroy this fucking human.
Wow.
Because it really summed up the fuckery I had experienced from the industry. So there was this one person, shout out to you, Mark Estrada, you dumb fuck, because this person was buying elixir from me every week
Wow.
Every week he was buying elixir from me.
Right.
And the comment that he wrote on that video was, if I was you, people were asking, has anyone tried this? Has anyone tried it? And he turned around, if I was you, I wouldn't bother. It's not worth spending your money on. Something like that.
Yeah. But you know what? I've learned that there's always going to be the haters.
The thing was, he wasn't a hater.
Right.
So he was drinking elixir religiously. He was working. When I first arrived in San Diego, I was working somewhere so I could meet people in the community. Right. Working in coffee is amazing that way.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah.
And so I was working there. He was working there as well. And he was getting me to buy. He was asking me, can I buy elixir off you? Every week he's buying a 32-ounce bottle, a 1 litre bottle at $18 a bottle.
Yeah.
He's buying it every single week. He's taking it home. He's drinking it.
It's odd.
And then he's going on this video and he's saying that. And the thing that really upset me about this was the quintessential example of everything that was wrong with the industry, and a big reason why I've been so driven with Map It Forward. In front of me, he was happy to admit how much he loved elixir.
Yeah,
right?
Interesting, isn't it?
But to virtue signal the bros and to feel like he belonged in amongst the cool kids, he shat all over me and the product.
Yeah.
And we've got to stop doing that as an industry.
That's true.
We shit all over each other for no fucking reason.
No reason.
And it's not
disgusting.
acceptable.
Yeah.
A new product comes out, and instead of giving it a chance, and I'm not talking about my product, it happens with every single product that comes out. You've got this group of people that just has to shit all over it for no reason. Or a new competitor comes out and does really well, and everyone needs to destroy them. What the fuck for?
Yeah, exactly.
Why? Like, why do we hate on each other this much?
I know.
There is enough room for everybody to be successful.
Yeah, I
and
believe so
thrive.
too. And you'll always find your own market. You'll always find your own customers.
And my thing was like, is this happening to me because I'm a woman? And then I realized it's not. It's happening to me because as much as we would like to think that we live in an industry that loves to hold hands and sing fucking kumbaya, that's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
There's so much buried resentment underneath there from people who want to be accepted but aren't being accepted, and so the only way they know how to be accepted is to get in amongst the haters.
That's the thing. I don't worry about that. I've had that most of my life. I've had it for most of my life.
How do you deal with it?
How do you deal with it?
How do you deal with it?
Well, I tell you what's happened to me. I used to years ago. I used to take things, personally, but I started to study, the way people think and why they think the way they think sometimes. And I guess also what I've done is along the way I've built a lot of resilience, and that's key to just not worrying about those sort of people and keep going forward with what you believe you're doing, like what you're doing with Map It Forward. Fantastic.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And now that I've met you in person, it's just, I think you've hit it on the nail to have something like this.
Thanks.
Because
that means a lot coming from you.
Well, we get to talk about, you get to share with amazing people. I apologise, I haven't listened to all your interviews, but we get to discuss real issues, and I think most of the people that are on your podcast, they're probably really sort of not shy to come forward and share.
No, they're not.
Do you find that they really?
What typically happens is the conversation starts. People are really nervous. And they're like, what are we going to talk about? And how do you fill up 2 hours or 3 hours worth of conversation? And I'm like, listen, 5 minutes into it, you're going to forget.
Yeah, you're going to forget
that you're even talking
exactly
with anybody else there. Yeah. And we in have a conversation that get lost.
It's you though.
Thanks.
You've got this magic touch about you. You've got this, like when you meet Lee in person, it's even more so.
We can skip
It's
that.
true though. It's true. I'm gonna. No, I feel like you're my sister. I don't know. I don't even know you. I feel like you're
with
my
you
sister.
too. I don't
Yeah.
feel that with everybody, but with you, I definitely do. I
Thank
feel
you.
like you and I will be sisters the rest of our lives.
Yeah, well, we are now, so
Yeah.
we can't, you know.
We're stuck with each other. I'm down for that. Like, I feel like
That
now that I
cigar,
found
that
you,
cigar.
we're having that cigar for sure. The thing is, I feel very fortunate that, like, you go through these things, and there's times when you're like lying in the fetal position, crying your eyes out, thinking, I'm a failure. Why aren't I strong enough? Am I weak? Like, why do people keep doing this to me? Why does it keep happening again and again and again and again and again? And it wasn't until Map It Forward happened that I realised why all of this happened.
Right. And it's not really you. It's not really about you, right?
Map It Forward.
No, not Map It Forward. It's not.
What's happened
when people
in the
hate
past.
on someone or they say
it's never about.
I've had so many things said behind my back that came back to me, and these people don't even know who they are, but I know. And
You're welcome
they
to
still,
start
they still want to
doing what
they
I
still
did
want to
and
come
just
and, you know,
outing people on the
no,
podcast.
No, I'm not like that. No, I prefer to keep quiet. I prefer to back off slowly and not do business with people like that, right? That's my way of dealing with people like that.
Look, part of it is that I really want to encourage people to stop wasting their time doing this to me.
Right.
And
yes.
I want to, because I really want to get on with creating two incredible companies.
But you know what though, Lee? What you're doing is amazing. Don't worry about what anyone.
I'm working on that.
Don't worry about it. What you're doing is amazing, right? You know, I feel really really honoured that you've had me on your you're having me on your podcast. I really do. I think it's. And that
I'm honoured that you said
because
yes.
I don't really talk to a lot of people, honestly. I don't. And you're wondering why I'm not out there, because I do keep to myself. But not because I'm scared. I'm not a scared person.
Not at all.
Not.
Meeting you sense the fierceness in you and the gusto in you. There's a fire.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like the word passion, but it is evident.
Look,
I mean, it's overused.
It is, passion. There's definitely, I'm very passionate. It's funny, I've been doing this thing, I've been doing coffee for so many years, but yet put a new customer in front of me and it's like the first day I'm doing business. And they feel it, they tell me, I got rid of all my sales reps, by the way.
Did you really?
Yeah, I do all my own sales. And I don't want to go out there and get everybody. I don't do that. People are starting to come to me. That's how I built my...
How do you approach it? How do you approach, like...
Every potential new customer is unique. That's how I approach it. I don't approach it... I approach them like they're already my family.
You've got to teach me this, because I've had nightmare experiences with salespeople.
Right.
And I'm going to get you to mentor me through this, if you don't mind.
It's funny because all my life I was told, oh, you're a natural salesperson. But
yeah,
I
people
never
tell me that too.
Yeah, and you've got it. You know, it's because you're personable. Sales is an interesting word. It's not what the word really means. It's you know what, it's really about connecting. It's about connection. And if you don't have it, you should just walk away, because you're not going to do business properly with that person. If the connection's not there, I don't believe it's a good sale.
Do you think that's why a lot of cafe owners, and I've never thought about it this way, but do you think that this is why a lot of cafe owners are great at opening cafes, but shit at actually being successful?
Yeah, I think they lose connection, number one. I'll tell you who who do you think their biggest customer is in any business? Their number one customer is their staff.
Right.
Number one. I didn't learn that. I didn't learn that in a book. I knew that just I don't know,
that's
years
a really
ago.
Interesting way of looking at it.
I always tell my staff that you are my customer. We're all each other's customer, number one.
Yeah, wow.
And then our customer. But your biggest customer is your staff.
Oh, I'm going to quote you.
And if you
many times.
and if you trust, and if you
if your customer if your staff buy what you're selling, then
they're on board with your vision.
Yeah.
If you treat them like they're your staff, like they're beyond you, and you're paying them a wage at the end of the day.
Far too many people do.
Well, they do, and that's why they look. I'm not saying I've never lost staff, but I always sat my staff down, and I say to them, listen, if you feel you don't belong here, you know where the door is. I used to let people go beautifully, open the door.
Yeah.
And we're still friends,
So
because sometimes it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't match their vision or whatever. But I've really grown up a lot. I guess one thing that I've noticed about myself over the years, I've gained a lot of wisdom. And when you're hurt and you've gone through challenges and you go home, and, like you said, the fetal position, that happened to me once. And I thought, what am I going to do? You know, like when you're like feeling alone, even though you know so many thousands of people,
Yeah, right.
when you feel so alone, it's like, what am I going to do? But you just, in that moment, you never give up, because that's the moment you want to give up. Because many times I thought, I could just go and do this. Or sometimes I think,
well, women like
wanna,
us could go and join corporations
we
today
could do anything.
and make hundreds of thousands
That's
of dollars
what I
a
was
year.
told many times by some male friends. Gina, why do you work so hard? Why do you do this?
Yeah,
Why you
'cause-
go and work for a big? You'll get paid.
No
You'll have a
thanks.
car.
No
I don't know,
thanks.
something in me.
I want to build something.
I want to build. I want to build, and I want to help people. I genuinely want to help people. But obviously, it's a two-way street, because you just can't keep helping and not get anything back.
Right.
And that's
How's your relationship with that dynamic been? Have you found that you have, because I can sense that you are similar to me with regards to having excess empathy. You're another over empathy person,
yeah,
right?
I am.
So this relationship that you have with wanting to help people, but also recognizing that you have to be on the receiving
Yes,
end,
yeah.
and that needs to be,
Yeah.
you know, it needs to be a two-way thing.
Yeah.
How has your relationship, as you've gone through, and I'm sure because you've gone through the adversity and the challenges that you've gone through, it teaches you to be like, well, hold on, I got to get my comeuppance as well.
Well, I didn't realise I was doing that. I was giving too much.
Yep.
And I don't think I'll ever have... I think I'm always going to have that heart for people.
Yep.
I think I'm going to always have that. So, but what I've learnt is to really quickly, you you become more discerning of people coming at you. Like my daughters used to get it quickly. They go, Mum, no. Because I see good in people,
Immediately.
in everyone, right?
That's the problem with us over empathy.
Yeah.
Like the super empaths amongst us, we don't see the fuckery.
No, you don't.
We're like, yeah, but behind that is an amazing person, the potentiality, and if only they'd shift this and do that. But they don't see that in themselves.
No.
Like they're out to totally
Oh
mess you
yeah,
over.
and sometimes you can get really tricked. You can get tricked, but you've
that's
got to.
happened.
Yeah, many.
Them sociopaths.
Yes. Oh yeah. And
We
there's a
are
lot
slim pickings for
Oh
them.
yeah, and they know, they pick them.
Yeah.
They pick us.
Have you read The Empathy Trap?
No,
Have you heard
I
of that?
haven't, but it sounds like a book to read.
The Empathy Trap uses the story of the Emperor's New Clothes
To
to describe the relationship between sociopaths, empaths, and apaths.
And it's funny that we're talking about this. You know how many times I've gone to Google just to search, just to confirm that person was
A sociopath.
a sociopath or a narcissist or a misogynist.
Yeah.
Because I don't like using those words, and I don't like to think of people like that. But I've had to go back and think, hang on.
Because otherwise you end up saying, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Nothing's wrong with me.
Well,
no.
Exactly.
No.
And it wasn't until I found out that through this book, people like us who are empaths are sought out by sociopaths. Because, and when you look at this story of the Emperor's New Clothes, we are intriguing to sociopaths,
Right.
because apaths are followers,
Right.
and so they'll just
Yeah.
do. So in the story, the sociopath is the tailor, right?
Right.
The apath is the emperor and all of his crowd.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So then the sociopath or the tailors, they dress the emperor, and the emperor comes out and shows everyone his new clothes, and he's thinking he's naked, but doesn't want to admit that he thinks that he's naked.
Right.
Comes out into the crowd, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, how beautiful is the emperor's new clothes? Like they've seen that he's naked, but they don't want to acknowledge that they're the only one that doesn't see what everybody else apparently seems to see. Until the little kid turns around and says, "Why is the emperor naked?" And in the story, the little kid is the empath because we see beyond the facade and we're not embarrassed to talk about it.
No, we're not.
Right?
No.
And so what happens is that the sociopath looks at us and is intrigued by us because they can't trick us.
No, exactly.
So they come and fuck with our minds. They gaslight us. They try and fool us. They do all these kinds of things because they know that from an empathetic perspective, we see the good in them. We see the potentiality in them. And so we're going to sit there and we're going to entertain the shit out of them while they completely fuck with our minds. Story of my life. Like every relationship except my husband, my ex-husband, every relationship was that. And I'm like, now I figured out the fuckery. Now I know how to stop it from happening. And it happens in business all the time.
All the time. Yeah, and it happened a lot. I've experienced it so many times. How do I get around that now? I have become wiser though. You become wiser. You have to become wiser. Because you can't keep getting hurt like that.
No.
You can't.
You do keep getting hurt like that. In my experience and what I've witnessed in other people, you go through a cycle of it. And then you have to push yourself off the cycle.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to take that step.
Otherwise,
back
it
again.
buries you. Because there's only we absorb everything as
we do.
Empaths.
Exactly. That's another good point. It's so true. Yeah, because we feel everything. We see it. We feel it. Yeah.
Do you find that being an empath has helped you or hindered you in business? Or both?
Look, I think both. Yeah, definitely both.
Do you want some more water? Euro?
Yeah, I'll just have a bit of this. Yeah, definitely both. But the thing is, you don't want to keep blaming that other person because you have to learn from it, and that's what I've done.
They're an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I say that I've gotten wiser because it taught me to become wiser. And as I said, I still have a heart for people, and I still have a heart, but I'm only now, the ones that really warrant that help. But even the person that we're helping, there's still a two-way thing. There has to be.
Do you make sure that you receive a return on the investment?
It depends what it is. I don't give to get sort of thing. I'm not that sort of person that gives to get. No. It depends. If we're talking customer-wise, yes, for sure. If I'm going to put all this effort into helping you grow your business, then I want a return as well.
And have you always been like that, or did you have to learn how to be like that?
I had to learn because I trusted
too much.
They would give me all these blown out bloody stories about how good they were and what they were going to do, and I had to really learn.
And they promised the world, and they're going to pay on time.
And now that was a bad one years ago. Got that one down pat now because the industry's known for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
You hear so many times that cafes, and I had to warn a friend of mine who has a bakery in San Diego, and she was telling me that one of her cafe clients is not paying his bill. And she's still supplying him. And I said, listen, our industry is known for what they'll do is they'll run you into the ground
until they can.
How much they and then they'll just stop using you and go and find somebody else.
Oh God, that's
story
happening.
Of the
it's awful. It's disgusting.
Constantly.
Yeah, those people are criminals, to be honest.
They're sociopaths. A lot.
They are. They really are.
They have no empathy for the destruction, the terror.
Because it has this huge flow-on effect. It's not just my business; it's everything. I can't pay my employees. Everything.
I can't
my rent,
pay my
everything.
suppliers.
Everything.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's known for that. This industry is really known for it. But I've, thank God, I don't have customers like that anymore. I quickly sorted that one out, and it had to be really. I had to get I had to get betrayed a few times because that's what they do. They'll go to another coffee roaster. It's just unbelievable. Yeah.
It happens constantly.
Yeah, it does. I think maybe it's still happening now.
I know it
know.
absolutely
Yeah,
does.
is.
Like I get phone calls from people saying, "Lee, I don't know how to fix this."
Yeah.
From all over the world.
Yeah.
And there are people who say things like, "I need to hire you to help me sort this out, but I can't afford it because I'm so far in the hole."
Wow.
And it's one of those things where you're like, "I'm going to help you sort this out. You pay me when you pay me." Because once we get you back on your feet, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we need to put some checks and balances in place to prevent this from happening again. And it's not difficult to do.
No, it's not. And honestly, now I do my checks, my credit checks. I've got the new customers. It's all COD until they,
they establish a history.
Establish credit history.
And for anyone that's listening, if you want some tips on how to do this, I can tell you for nothing, so you don't have to hire me to do it. Get a Shopify website or a Squarespace website, and make your customers put their orders for their coffee in through your website. Don't have salespeople take orders. Have your ordering system happen through the website, and nothing goes on an account, because everything has to be paid at the time of order, not on the time of delivery. And this makes cash flow a issue of yesterday. It also keeps people accountable. It makes people have to manage their own cash flow when they're ordering from you. They can't just think, well, that's fine, I'll use this money to take the team out. No, you have to. If you're a coffee shop and you can't afford to buy your coffee, you can't afford to do business. You won't stay in business. This is forcing people. For my clients, it's forced their customers to become better business people with regards to cash flow. Yeah. And if you're struggling and trying to figure out how to do it, that's the way to do it if you're a wholesale roaster. It's important. Yeah,
it's good. I haven't got that system. I did look at Ornamentum. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people out there know what Ornamentum is. It's actually a really good system.
Yeah, I think Noir uses Ornamentum.
Yeah, I am looking at that. I think it's a really good system. Because
is it the same kind of thing where you just order, pay?
You order and pay. But
same.
Yeah.
But that's the way to do it, so that you're not manually taking orders.
Exactly, and chasing after money.
Yeah. And
it's the worst thing to do. We're not in business to chase money. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing.
It's demeaning.
It is demeaning. You're absolutely right. It's demeaning.
And it isn't what you should be spending your time on, especially these days when there's no more cash.
No, exactly.
There's no reason for you to be chasing people and saying, can I have my money, please?
And the thing is, the cafe owner gets paid straight away with their customer. They're not saying, the customer's not saying, look, I'll pay you in a month's time or next week. No, you pay right there. So
and 90% of it is electronic now. So it's not like you've got to wait till you put the money in the bank.
Look, most of these cafes that end up like that, they're mismanaging their shops. They're not managing their cafes.
I had an owner who I was working for who had a horrible Coke habit.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot.
And so what would happen at the end of every shift, we'd crush it every day, and she would come in and empty the till.
Really?
She'd tell us that she was going to pay the bills.
Wow.
And she was putting it all up on notes.
Yeah, forget it. That happens a lot.
And we found out when, we place orders after a few months. We'd been open for a few months at that point, and we started placing orders. The stock would arrive, and the driver would say, I cannot leave this until you give me a check. I cannot leave this until you give me cash. Like, bro, she took the cash out of the register. We didn't even have enough for the float today.
Wow, that's terrible.
And it happened again and again and again. And that's when you start to realise, I've seen this story before. I know where this is going. It's going to get to a point where the wages don't get paid.
And get out of there.
And if you're listening to this episode of the podcast and you have started to see this happen, start to look for another job, because you can't help people that are doing that. Once they've got a business that they're using to fund a Coke habit or a heroin habit or a gambling habit or anything like that.
That's another big one, a gambling habit.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in our industry.
Yeah, it's not good.
And there's no resolution to it.
Yeah. And some employees walk away not ever getting compensated because of those
happened to me
sort
twice in 2 countries.
Really?
Happened to me in London.
Wow.
I had to walk away with the owner owing me £2,000.
Oh, wow.
Well, you get to a point where you're so far in and you're struggling for money as a barista, and you think, well, this person owes me £1,000. It's too much to walk away from. So you're there and you're trying to wait for it.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where they're like, okay, here's 500. So you think, all right, I'm going to get the next 500. Well, by the time the next round comes, you're £2,000 in the hole, and you're like, I just got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then it happened with this crazy bitch.
Wow.
It was astonishing how much money she was making and how much of it was going up her nose.
Wow.
And when we found out, like, the milk wasn't getting paid, the coffee wasn't getting paid, the bread wasn't getting paid. Then produce. When it got to the point of produce, we couldn't get produce in the place.
Wow.
And they're usually the most forgiving.
Wow. Yes.
And that's when you're like,
No, I'd pull out of those sort of places, definitely, straight away, ASAP.
Can you see them now?
Yeah. Yeah, because what I do is I sit down, and it doesn't matter even if they've got an exorbitant,
set up and
or,
fit out,
or they've got a plan like this,
elaborate plan.
Yeah, like a nice architecturally designed plan. It doesn't matter because you got to ask the right questions. You just got to really dig deep and ask the right questions. My question is always, my first one is, have you owned a cafe before? Have you owned a business before? And it doesn't matter if they haven't. Okay, you haven't. What do you know about the coffee industry? You got to really dig deep, and you don't give them too much. And it's COD. If you're going to give those sort of people a chance, you've got to do COD. Don't ever let them get away from paying.
Do you mostly notice that people are on board with that, or do they run from the COD?
No, they're on board with it now. It's the way you put it across. Years ago, I didn't know how to. I thought I'd lose the customer if I do that, right?
Yeah.
But now,
you've got the confidence to know that they're just not worth doing business with.
Exactly.
I had someone with Elixir a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Super excited. I'm so excited to be
the
the
first
first
one.
All
excited.
Yeah, really, really pumped about. I'm going to be
those
an
really
Elixir
excited
dealer.
ones.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, so let's move ahead. And I said, we'll send you a credit authorization form.
Yeah.
So that you in the US, you're not allowed to charge somebody's credit card until you have written permission from them that says you're allowed to process that credit card. And so you get them to fill it out. And for me, that means I don't have to do a credit check.
Right.
Because if you're sending me your credit card, I'm billing you before I send you the
that
stock.
credit card could be empty.
Well, if it does, the payment doesn't process, the shit doesn't ship.
Yeah, good. Oh, okay, so you get the money first.
So, so you get the credit card.
Yeah.
You process the credit card, and once the credit card's processed, then we will proceed with the order.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And so, funnily enough, because it wasn't like you can go on an account.
Right.
Never got the credit card processed.
Oh, really?
Never got the.
Isn't that interesting?
He never sent the thing.
Really?
And I'm like,
there you go.
Thank you for showing me exactly what I wanted to know.
What you were going to get into.
Oh yeah, he's like, just ship it immediately, and I'll get that form sorted for you at some point. No, thank you. I've learnt well and good from watching other people have tens of thousands of dollars in coffee. People are ringing up bills.
I've lost money. I've lost some money. I lost money to a big franchise where I could see he was getting greedier and greedier, and he was doing really, really well. I grew him from one shop in Darlinghurst to 30 across Australia. Yeah, and I was handling everything. Everything was coming out of Numero Uno, and I'll never forget, he just started getting greedy, and he came in and tried to even, I was organising all his technical, all the maintenance and setting up all the new cafes, training. There's a lot of work that goes involved.
There has to be, because of the competition
so much work.
now.
There's just so much work. The wholesale side is it's not rocket science, it's not hard, but there's a lot of time. And we don't really get paid. We don't get compensated for the time and effort that we put into each cafe. So, yeah, stay away from those customers that give you that first sign of...
But it's trusting it, Gina.
yeah, I know.
It's giving the confidence to trust that gut feel.
Yeah, that gut feel. But, you know, sometimes you'll miss it because they disguise themselves so well.
Mm-hmm.
But stay away from that, from anyone that, just doesn't come forward with a payment. Just stay away from them. That's my advice.
Talking about the less than favourable characters in our industry, I want to have a conversation with you about something that is probably difficult for both of us to talk about. And, coffee hasn't really had its Me Too moment in the Australian industry. And I have a feeling it's coming. Well, I know it's coming.
I think it is. If you've got anything to do with it, Lee, I think it is. Or map it
Perhaps. I've recently become apprised of some pretty interesting shit that's been going down over the last couple of decades in our industry. And having grown up a WOG and having grown up being told that women are less, and having witnessed the way that women have been treated, I guess, my whole life. And then coming into, I went from corporate to the music industry and coffee industry.
Wow. Yeah.
And women were treated like trash the whole way. And I look at the way that women have been treated in our industry here in Australia, which isn't as hugely different from America, but America's had its Me Too moment in coffee.
Wow.
So the owner of 4 Barrel was outed by, I believe, the Washington Post.
Oh, wow.
Was it the Washington Post? But a paper at that level.
Right, okay.
And it was written about in a big way.
Wow. Okay.
4 Barrel ended up hiring Harvey Weinstein's publicist.
You're kidding me.
No.
Wow.
And then ended up hiring who I was going to use as a publicist. And I didn't use her because she was representing them.
Right.
And I wondered why Australia hasn't hit its Me Too moment, given that I'm sure you know as well as I know that fuckery is ripe in our industry.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
What are some of the, over the years, I think I experienced more the bullying than the sexual side of it. And it wasn't until I had this podcast that women started coming forward to me and telling me about the absolutely fucking atrocious things that have happened. Rapes and sexual assaults and a whole bunch of stuff that seems to happen. Has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? Has it gotten... Is it still there?
Oh, definitely. The behaviour is still there. That sort of behaviour is definitely, and that mentality is still there, definitely. In my early years of starting Numero Uno, oh my goodness. And I'm writing a book at the moment, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, there was a lot of that happened. And, besides the challenges as a business person, there's enough challenges there, right?
Right. Just in doing business. Forget your gender, forget anything else.
But then on top of that, you get sexist remarks. And I had a customer drop me because I wouldn't go out with him. And every time he'd see me, he'd pin me up against the wall.
For real?
Oh yeah, I've had some moments. This was going back in the day, and yeah, I've had some interesting times, and I've seen it with my own eyes. Yeah, I've seen a lot of inequality, but I've had phone calls from certain well-known people saying, from a well-known male say to me, Gina, I commend you for how long you've lasted in the industry, because I know what men think when they see a woman like you in business. And I remember thinking, do I drop the phone, or because I'm just thinking, did I just hear what I heard?
Yeah, do you drop the phone or do you say thank you?
Do I say, hang on, did I just hear what I heard? I mean, am I supposed to take, and I said to this, am I supposed to take that as a compliment?
This is the part that fucks with my mind.
Yeah, it was a
because
really
they think it's a compliment.
It was a really interesting comment. And me being me, I just thought, oh, really revolting comment, but I had to shrug it off and just keep going again.
Was it an influential person?
Yeah. But
I think I know who it is.
but
that look of yours.
It was an interesting comment, and I've had comments like, the look up and down, and what's a woman like you doing in an industry like this? I've had men not look at me when I go there to, obviously.
They're looking at your chest.
It's been an interesting journey. It's,
are you concerned for the women in our industry?
I'm concerned for, now me, if I see anything like that, I don't know what I'd do, I'd probably punch that person out. I don't know. I know it's happening, and I know there's a lot of vulnerable women, whereas I guess, I'm trying to say I've always been a strong person and I never let things get to me, but imagine those ones that are a bit more defenceless or are vulnerable.
Or are being held to ransom by a visa.
Or, yeah, wow, yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, that would happen, for sure.
For 100%. These girls, women that are, and men. Like, I know it happens to some men. The thing, lots broke my heart when we had this conversation at the Map It Forward conference last year.
Right.
We did an open discussion called Being Not a Man in Coffee.
Oh, okay, I missed that one.
And, I started it with telling a couple of stories of different women in the Australian coffee industry that had come and shared their stories of either being raped or being sexually assaulted. And then I went silent and invited people to tell me their comments about it. And it was commendable to everybody in the room, no matter what their gender was. It was a difficult space to hold for every one of us, and it was outstanding. We did it in Sydney and we did it in Melbourne.
Right.
What shocked me was in the couple of days that followed that, because it was a 3-day conference and that happened on the first day, the number of men that pulled me aside and said, this has happened to me too in this industry. Wow. Yeah. One of them had been physically violated by their boss.
Gosh.
And I'm like, what do I do with this? I'm that person now that people are finding and telling this stuff to, and I don't know what to do with the information. I'm working very hard to try and understand what to do with the information, and there are a couple of key offenders, and having the information makes me feel a little complicit in what comes after I find out about it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, because you feel, to have that knowledge and just not do anything with it.
Exactly.
That would be really difficult.
Because what I want to do is walk up to the person and say, listen to me, you fucker, I know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
But first of all, it's like, this person has a right to defend themselves. And on top of that, the person who shared that information with me has a right to their anonymity.
Exactly.
But what happens in between? Like, we've got these people that are being violated, and we've got this person being an aggressor.
Yeah.
And neither of those situations are in any way healthy. Like this is why we're doing the assertiveness workshop. These are the ways that I know how to create opportunities for people to find their way out of victimhood.
I think that's great.
And to find their way out of being aggressive.
So you're doing this assertiveness training for the aggressor and the person and the victim.
And the passive people.
Right.
So there are people that are coming tomorrow to the workshop that have specifically said to me, I'm coming to learn how to not communicate so aggressively.
Wow, that's good.
Which is awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, we have people, and look, not enough people are coming. We should have sold this out.
I was going to say, did it get sold out?
It didn't sell out. We sold 40 tickets.
Really?
And the thing is, I think, like with a lot of the stuff that I do, I'm early to market.
I think you might be right.
And so what I think will happen is that...
Gosh, 40 people. This is something...
And it's such an opportunity. It should have sold out really quickly.
Especially with Dr.
Jamie Berry.
Jamie Berry, yeah.
Like it's typically $400 per person for a day's training in one of these workshops. And because of my relationship to him, he's my best friend. So because of that, he's like, we're doing it for $75 a head.
Wow.
And because of the generous sponsorship of companies like yours, we've been able to cover a lot of the costs so that we can keep the prices down.
Yeah, good.
And so we figured it out that if we could get the sponsorship money that we got from the couple of people that we wanted to approach and then look at what the rest of the expenses were, the tickets ended up at $75.
Oh, that's so good.
And then I thought, surely, and we all thought it, like, this shit's going to sell out quickly.
Yeah.
One of the sponsors even said, are you prepared to put on a second event the next day because this is going to sell out?
That's what I thought too.
Me too.
You know what though, Lee? I think the problem, and I find it particularly with Sydney, I think the problem is that it's an interesting city. I find that Sydney doesn't, come together enough.
It doesn't.
It doesn't come together. I think if it was in Melbourne, different story. I've got a feeling if it was in Melbourne, it would have sold out.
I don't know. I think that assertiveness is one of those things. I think this kind of thing in particular, people are unaware of the fact that they need it. Like if you tell
them...
They
are 100% unaware. 100%. Yep. And then they complain and they just...
Why am I
like this? Yeah. Why... and they even talk bad about their customers, and it's like, they should get out of their pit hole.
This is the key. This is the silver bullet to getting out of that
exactly.
pit hole.
If they come out and just do one day's workshop, I think every cafe owner needs to listen. I'm not even 100% sure what this is going to be about, but I've got an idea after looking up Jamie Berry. I know it will, because I love stuff like this.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
maybe it shouldn't have been the word assertive. Maybe that's what scared some of the... Because I actually tried to reword it on my end.
It's difficult. We tried.
Karina goes, oh no, maybe you should keep it because that's what it's all about. But I tried to reword it to soften it a bit. But because I think people...
What did you soften it to? Because we tried.
Know. I think
early on, Noah said to me, I think you need to change the word from assertiveness.
Oh, so he said the same thing.
Well, absolutely. And James Danaskos, who was on the podcast yesterday, he's coming as well. And even he said to me, I think your problem was the word assertiveness.
Oh, so we've all...
Right, you've all said the same thing.
I didn't hear them say that.
No. And so I listened when Noah said it early on.
Yeah.
So I went to Jamie and I said, we need to come up with a word that's different to assertive. Yeah. And he said, there is no word that's different from assertive.
Yeah.
The problem is...
No one wants to believe that they...
Well, the problem is that this word assertive hasn't been brought front and centre of the workforce yet.
Right.
In any industry. Yeah. We're very, very early to this. So the way I see this going, the 40 people that come tomorrow are going to be the people to watch. They're the kind of people who see things before everybody else sees it.
Thank God for that then. Thank God for that. Because,
and
but there's so many... How many cafes do we have in Sydney?
Thousands.
Thousands? And everybody should be doing this course. I'm not saying it because I'm a sponsor. Seriously, I'm not. Remember you texted me and you said, Gina, would you be interested in sponsoring? I didn't know what it was. I said to you, tell me what it is first.
No one knew about it. No, I
that's
hadn't
right.
spoken to
No.
anybody about it.
What did I do? You sent me some information.
Yeah.
How quick was I to get back to you? Immediate, because I thought, oh my God, this is so needed.
I was
could just
really
tell.
shocked. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I said yes straight up. And I went back and I told the guys, I go, guys, I've just sponsored something that I think is really well needed.
I was really surprised. I remember when Shane and I were trying to figure out like how we're going to do the marketing for the event, how we're going to get the word out, and he said to me, so Shane works for Noir and CRS, and he said, I really don't think you're going to have to worry about marketing this event. Like when people figure out that this is happening, especially because Jamie came and gave a 2-hour talk at the conference last year.
Right, okay.
And he was supposed to give a 1-hour talk. Everyone in the audience asked if he can keep talking.
Really? Wow.
Right. So everyone was mind blown.
Okay.
And even Kieran, the president of ASCA, was there.
Oh, is he coming to this one?
No.
No.
And I kind of said to everyone I did say to everyone in the room, if we create an assertiveness workshop, a full-day workshop, who would come? 100% of the people in the room put their hands up.
Did they?
100%.
Did we follow up on those people?
We contacted everyone.
Oh, you did? Wow.
And I think it's this thing that people aren't aware of how important this is to changing their lives.
And really taking out one Saturday out of their busy business lives, is nothing compared to, because this is going to push their business forward. It will help them understand how to communicate better. As I said, I don't even know what this is really, what you're going to talk about, but just by reading up on Jamie Berry, I just thought,
he's incredible,
this is fantastic. See, I'm into all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And so what's exciting for me is the fact that I'm going to get an opportunity to see who these people are that are turning up, these 40 people that are turning up.
Great.
And I get to track their trajectory through the industry versus a lot of the other people. A lot of them are superstars in the industry already.
Right.
And it's very interesting that these influential people that are coming to this are the kinds of influential people. They're not the Instagram famous for no reason influential people.
Right.
They're Instagram famous because they've worked really hard.
Right.
They've done the hard shit. They've battled their demons. They are the first one to sign up to compete and to do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're the ones that ring me and say, so I need help in figuring out how to do this and deal with this person because it's a challenging situation. These are the people of integrity.
Yeah.
But they're also early adopters. They're people who don't look at something new and trash it.
Right. Okay.
They're also people that look at something that's hard and go, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to get it done. You take someone like that and supercharge them with the tools that's necessary.
Wow. Oh, this is exciting. I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
Oh, this is so good.
If 10 people had have turned up, I would have been excited because these are the 10 people that as this business thrives, they're the 10 people that I want connected with Map It Forward. It's becoming a global thing. And these are the people that I want to watch and have associated with this brand because they're interested in investing in themselves, but not about latte art.
But that's fantastic. What you just said there, they're interested in investing themselves and business is an ever-evolving environment.
So much.
Right? And you've got different players coming in constantly. You've got different, technologies, is pushing us in different directions. So, but the human side of the industry and the business is something that we've really got to stay on top of.
So much so.
Right? More so than technology and everything else that the business environment's all about. The human side, because without that, I just believe that you can't succeed.
Well,
You can only get there in a certain...
so true.
You know what I
Gina.
mean? Yeah.
Well, and I
Unless
think,
you've got like this e-business online, different story. But even then, you still have to get somebody to pack something in a warehouse that's got employees. It's still going to affect human beings somewhere along the line.
and going back to what we were talking about before this idea of the Me Too stuff that happens, the bullying stuff that happens, we lose too many good people in our industry because it's just too hard to put up with the fuckery.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't get paid very well.
Yeah.
And I have to put up with the mental head fuck of all of this. I could go somewhere else. I could put up with just as much mental head fuck, and I could earn $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 extra a year.
It's true.
Why would I stay here for it?
Yeah, exactly.
And
no one should.
No.
No one should. No one should be under that sort of regime, you know, going home.
But we have been for too long.
Too long, yeah.
And this is why I thought...
Well, maybe this is the forum to really open this up and see where it goes. I think so.
For me, the idea of introducing the skills to empower employees and employers to communicate with each other where they're saying what they mean and mean what they say. They communicate fairly and respectfully. They know how to set boundaries. And they know how to respect each other's boundaries as well as their own boundaries. That's what assertiveness is.
Right.
All of those things that I just said, that is the key to assertiveness. It's not being aggressive.
No.
And it's not being passive. And it's not being passive aggressive. It's being all of those things that I was just mentioning. Imagine working in a workplace where that was the required status quo.
I know, that would be amazing, huh?
Wouldn't it? Imagine how that company thrives. And especially being such a city that is so heavily steeped in an industry that leans so heavily on multiculturalism.
So true.
Where you've got so many people that are coming into workplaces because this is a job that you can do. You can become a dishy, you can become a barista if English is your second language. And many bosses are taking advantage of the fact that you are here and depend on them for a visa, or you don't speak the language, you don't have any family or any friends, so you come here to feel connected to people. Imagine if we could get those people the assertiveness training that they needed.
Wow.
Which is why we made the ticket $75.
Yeah.
Noah said to me today, he's like, you have to come back and do this again next year.
You might have to until people really get it.
Right. But what we're doing is this is going to become, we're filming it. We've got a camera crew going to be there tomorrow. And it's going to go up as an online course so that people can watch it.
That's a good idea.
And consume it in the constraints of their own home.
Yeah.
So that you can go through the course.
That's fantastic.
Module by module as Jamie's going to present them tomorrow. It's super exciting.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
We brainstormed so much. I spoke to a marketing person about it and they're like, this is a tough one. Society doesn't like to look at...
Oh, really? So you brainstormed
right. And the thing is, like, when you go and look at other people that have done this and how they marketed it, the issue was nobody's done it. So
really?
we couldn't copy a campaign. We couldn't lend from a campaign of someone around the world who's gone out there and offered assertiveness training to an industry.
Wow. To any industry. Nothing's been done.
No,
wow, that's amazing.
I'm one of those people who always arrives too early with
Sounds
a product.
like it.
So Elixir, Mapper Forward, and now this. This is one of those things that you're like, okay, we're going to have some repeated exposure and opportunities so that people can warm up to the idea of what this means. Psychologists around the world, the number one thing that they do is assertiveness training. Wow. It might not be called assertiveness training, but it's the number one thing that they do.
Okay.
It's just not cool to do it yet.
Yeah, okay. Got you.
And so we have to find the rhythm of how to explain this to people. And I think what it's going to take, like if you look on social media through the Australian the Sydney-based coffee industry, loads of people reposted this.
Oh, really?
Loads of
Oh,
people
they did?
reposted about
Wow.
this event. And that was why, like James was saying to me, I saw so many people repost about this event.
Yeah.
How come the people who were reposting it didn't buy tickets?
It's odd, isn't it?
And what that says to me is that there's a fear of stepping into, shit, I need assertiveness training.
Yeah. Or even the fear of stepping into the unknown.
And so I'm...
You know, they're not in control of what they're going to hear. I don't know. It's...
Well, I think it's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I look at something that's going to grow me.
Yeah,
something
same.
that's going to
That's
expand
me.
my mind,
Same.
and I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we have to keep moving forward.
Right.
And if we can get people like Jamie Berry, oh goodness, you know, this is a privilege to have someone at that level to speak to us, you know, to share his knowledge on how to better our mindset, ourself,
everything,
yeah,
our sense
exactly.
of self. It's not just about like bettering your communication skills. It's about empowering yourself to value you.
Yeah. And in turn, that does help you communicate
It helps everything,
with
right?
the next person, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know, my dream is that we can empower enough people in our industry that predators know that this is not a safe place to lurk.
That's a good point.
And I had another psychologist on the podcast. Shout out to Samantha Ferretto. She came on the podcast and she said, and she specifically came on to talk about sexual harassment in general.
In the workplace, yeah.
And one thing we found is that when predators are coming into a workplace, they spend a certain amount of time testing the waters to see if they'll be able to capture bait in a workplace.
Wow.
So what they'll do is they'll start with comments like, oh, he's so gay, or comments about, oh, that's what she said, or that's what he said. Like they'll start with comments like that to see if the people around them...
Who's going to take the bait?
Well, no, they'll see if they have any allies.
Ah.
And by seeing if there's other people there,
okay.
what they're doing is they're being very calculated about assessing the culture in a workplace.
Okay.
Now, if someone turns around and says, when you say, well, that's so gay, like he's so gay, or whatever, if somebody stops that behaviour in its tracks immediately, that person is signalled this is not a place to be a predator.
No. Yeah. But
So,
they'll go on and find another place.
But they'll go somewhere else,
they
right?
will.
So my grand plan here is
Yeah.
that if we can do a couple of things, if we can teach people the language of how to be assertive so that we don't accept those kinds of comments in workplaces, and then we get that done in enough places, no matter how many other workplaces they're going to, they'll give up.
Yeah, and you'll sort of run them out a bit, won't
That's
you?
my
Run them out.
grand master plan with regards to this.
Yeah.
It's the long game.
It is a long-term
But
thing.
it's the only way, after hearing all of these stories, that I feel that we're going to have any chance of cleaning up the industry. Because I don't want to just out men and women.
And it's not about that, is it?
It's not about that.
No.
For me, I want to create long-term safe environments where predators think twice about coming into our backyard and laying their eggs, because it's just been happening for too long.
Yeah, for too many years.
There's too many damaged people.
And they've gotten away with it. That's the thing, they've gotten away with it.
I don't know. I don't know what else to do.
I think this is a really good start. It's a very it's an area that there's so many ways you could sort of look at this, but I think even if there was some sort of a I had a thought before about like some sort of a reporting system
Right.
right? That it becomes mandatory in the workplace.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
I know.
I mean, it's a great idea, but then who are we to force a victim to come forward? Like the shame that's associated.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, they'd have to come on their own will.
So people often say to me, you've got it, and I've put it up on
But
the
you know,
podcast
you know how
before.
we've got like a reporting system if someone hurts themselves in the
Right. Yeah.
Why aren't we doing that for sexual harassment or bullying or?
Well, because women are, or whoever the victim is, actually, let me use a different term than victim. The person who has been assaulted is often concerned that they're not going to be believed.
It's true, and it's very true, and this has been happening for years. For years,
like
Ever
eons,
since.
millennia,
Yeah.
right? They're wondering if they're going to be believed, and the other thing they're going to be they do wonder is, what did I do to make it happen? Because that's how we're conditioned.
That's true too. Yeah.
Did I lead them on? Did I flirt too
Yeah.
much? Did I wear something that looked inappropriate? Was I too smile? Like all of these things.
I think this is why this is important, this forum, because I think the more you talk about something,
Yeah.
you'll find that people will start coming forward.
I hope so.
I do believe so. I think there's people that are, I don't know if they're whoever's watching, but I think people would be sitting there after this conversation thinking, I'm just saying, when you start to talk about it more and more,
Yeah.
like this would be just the beginning, right?
For sure.
Right, this is the beginning, and and it is an area where it's very, it's a subject that is taboo.
I've not heard it anywhere
No,
else.
I know, it really is. I mean, we sort of talked about it not long ago, but it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening in the industry. But I think it is an education thing. I really do. I think it's an education thing, and it's going to take some time. But I think the more and more because I think this is a forum, one of the forums to hold a conversation in about this subject. I believe people will start coming forward, because you can't force someone
No.
to go, and you just can't.
There's the person who I believe is the Harvey Weinstein of the Australian coffee industry has been getting away with it for decades, and I found out about it last year.
Wow.
And it keeps me up a lot at night. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it after the number of horror stories
Gosh.
that I have heard.
And these are women coming to you.
Yeah. And it's...
Do you ask them, what do you want me to do?
I ask them what I can do because I don't have any answers.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I've put the call out on the podcast if anyone knows what I can do in situations like this, and everybody says the same thing. You've got to get the people who are being assaulted to go to the police.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because I think that's a start. Once there's...
But how do you get these women who have experienced this, who have found a way, like some of these women hadn't told anyone for 20 years.
Gosh.
I was the first person they'd ever told 20 years later that this happened. And I want so desperately to be able to know what the answer is to fix this. And so when I say, look, a number of women have come forward about this person, would you be willing to talk about it if we were able to find someone that we could perhaps go to as a group? And I will find a police officer, I will come to Australia and find somebody, a detective, somebody who we can talk to together.
I think that's the way to do it.
But what we keep hearing again, or what I keep hearing again and again, is I've moved on.
Okay.
My life, it took me forever
Wow.
to move on with this, and I don't want to say anything. Or I'm so ashamed nobody's going to believe me this far afterwards.
But what if there was another person, another woman, and another one, and another one, and another one that told the same story? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a
with one situation, I got told about what happened, and I asked for his name. She told me. I found him on Facebook, and I've told this story before. I immediately found him on Facebook. I found his son on Facebook as well. Tried to find his wife. She's not on Facebook. I sent him a message. I copied his son, and I copied a bunch of very influential men in the coffee industry.
Wow.
And I told him that I knew what he had done, and that I'm watching him, and that if I find out he fucks with one more woman in the industry, I'll destroy him. I'll make it public. And I had copied all of these other men in on it. And, you know, things evolved from there. I told this woman that had told me about her and the many other women this had happened to, what I'd done, and took a screenshot of what I'd sent him, and she asked me if she could share it with the other women who had been. There were dozens.
Wow.
Dozens of women who had been assaulted by this man.
Wow.
And this is a different man that I'm talking about.
Wow.
This man isn't the Harvey Weinstein.
Okay. Goodness me.
And she said to me, "You've no idea how much closure you've finally given us."
Wow.
Because you confronted him without us having to be outed. That's not good enough. In my mind, it's not good enough, because we're not going to stop him. He's not going to really feel the shame and all of the things that these women have to go, how much it's affected their lives.
100%. Does he even realise? Do you think he realises?
No. And the men around him that he was working with in the industry, they all knew what he was doing.
Really? And none of them...
Their response was, and one of them that I heard said to one of the girls who had spoken to me, she had just been assaulted, was outside crying. Somebody who was on the executive team for the company she was working for saw her, asked her what was wrong. She told him, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, he does it to all the women."
Oh, gosh. That's not on. That is not on.
So I don't know how to fix the stuff that's happened.
Right.
I wish I did, but I don't have the answers. I want to focus on a more long-term, solid solution, which is what this assertiveness training is. If I can help give people the opportunity to say, "You crossed my boundary and I will fuck you up."
Yeah. I think if you know, this assertive training, if it empowers or disempowers that sort of behaviour before it gets out of control, well, then you should be doing more of this assertive training. That's one way of stopping it in its tracks.
I would take this around the world.
Because some young women and males don't know how to stop something because they're in a vulnerable position.
Right.
They're getting
I get that
paid,
from men a lot.
right? They get paid. Their wages are being paid by this person, perhaps. I don't know who it is, right? And it does happen to young men. It
100%.
does. It happens to young men.
And you know, another thing I get asked a lot is, Lee, what should I do if I see somebody else doing something that's not okay?
Well, I'd be definitely stopping it.
But we're different, Gina.
Yeah,
We're-
that's true.
We're
Yeah.
women who
I'd be,
Hey, I've broken up fights
Right.
of men. I've
Yeah.
held men apart.
right,
When one man was bullying another man,
Yeah.
and he finally got the courage to stand up to this
yeah,
guy,
right.
and I had to pull them apart and be like, hey, you're little boys.
Yeah.
Like, this is not how you need to be.
But not
solving
everyone's
this."
going to do that.
No, and that's my point, is like, someone came up to me and said, so listen, I saw my boss coming on to one of my co-workers. I don't know what to do.
So will this assertive training give people like this
Yeah.
person some idea of how to
Well, how to
handle it?
how to assess it,
Yeah,
and perhaps it won't be a direct, this is how you
Yeah.
handle a sexual
Right.
thing, but what it will show you is how to assess boundaries, how to assess workplaces that you should and shouldn't be working in. It will teach you how to use verbal and non-verbal cues
Yeah.
to show people, like,
Yeah,
because
good.
predators find people who, an
Yeah.
assertive person is never going to get hit on
no. You're
by
so
a predator.
Right. You're so right.
They look for the easy
Yeah,
targets.
exactly.
And so my thinking behind all of this is, if we empower people with assertiveness, predators are no longer going to prey on them. They're going to look for the easy targets.
Yep.
Well, if there are no easy targets, because we've given everybody assertiveness training, they'll fuck off and go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
exactly. Yeah.
And so if we can get people on board to understand that the fix, the silver bullet to so many problems in the coffee industry, so much of the dysfunction, is assertiveness training.
What about verbal harassment? Will he cover that as well? Yeah. That's good.
It's really going to be great. Like, Jamie has helped me, as someone who's a super empath, learn how to watch people's fuckery is the only word I know.
Yeah.
About that, because it encapsulates this idea where people are derogatory towards you, people are condescending, people are patronizing,
Yeah.
people talk shit directly to you,
Yeah.
and you become subservient, you become submissive, right, in those behaviors. And what it's about is, once you become passive like that, learning how to get back some of your power.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
And understanding, and he's going to be very specific in teaching people how to use their words to get that power back.
Fantastic.
How exciting!
That's really good. Because sometimes it is just one command, and it's how you I guess put it out there.
And it's the not hesitating in
Yeah.
it, because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're looking to assess.
And you know what? I've had vice versa. I've had staff.
Come at you.
I've had it the other way too.
How did you handle that?
Well, I got a card from two of my employees. This was years ago, and it was very, it wasn't good. There was a connotation of, it wasn't good.
What did they say?
I guess at that time, I stupidly didn't do anything about it.
So you were passive about
Yeah,
it?
I was passive about it. It was years ago, and the funny thing is, I sort of couldn't, that whole thing about, letting someone go.
You
is
have to be
seen as-
very careful.
right?
Yeah.
So it was all that.
Was it of a sexual nature, or was it of a bullying nature?
A sexual nature.
Yeah.
100%. And it was a really bad time for me because I didn't know how to handle it. Really bad time. And then when this person finally left, I was up for unfair dismissal. So I've been through an unfair dismissal
That's horrible.
when it was definitely
I'm so
not
sorry all of this
unfair.
happened to
Yeah,
you.
no, I've been through my challenges, and I've had to keep my mouth shut because it's true. I do understand some women. Like now, I can speak freely because as I said, I've got a lot more wisdom, and I've built resilience.
And a track record.
Yeah, and a track record. And it was difficult because I thought, who would believe me?
Wow.
I've got to keep my mouth shut because I'm running a business. It's all that. You think of 100 million things that could go wrong if you said anything.
And they could.
100 million things.
And they could.
And you know what? The courts were all in that person's favour. No matter, I sent a 6-page letter, they dismissed everything in it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had to, yeah. But anyway.
It's
It
one of
happens.
those things.
And it was a reversed role. It was
Yep.
an interesting, yeah.
Learning how to create boundaries in the first place. So I recently had a situation where I had someone who was coming on board, and luckily Jamie and I had been talking about boundaries.
Right.
Go ahead. Go
Boundaries.
ahead.
Boundaries. That word I know it exists, I know what it means, but I didn't know that I did not put boundaries
Look,
in
you're
my
an
life.
empath.
Oh,
You have no boundaries. You're like, come at me,
Well,
bitches, and
yeah.
give me all of
whatever.
your emotions.
Yeah. It took me $200 for 1 hour session that I desperately scrambled one night after work, after everyone had left, because I felt myself let down again.
Yeah.
You know, in that sort of
Oh yeah.
thing, right? And I thought, why is this happening to me? Why? Why does it keep happening to me? There's something wrong with me. So what I did, I thought I need to talk to somebody. I'm good like that. I will go and talk to someone. And I thought, right, I've got to find someone. I found this amazing woman online. And we ended up having a Skype session. And she said, so when do you want to do it? I said, tonight. she goes, okay, put the $200 in. I put the $200 in, and then we did our Skype session. And what came out of it, I'll never forget it. And that was the beginning of my my own assertiveness. But it took me a while to get it. It took me a while to put it into practice. I got it straight away when she pointed something out.
But then you've got to go do it.
But then I had to go and do it and really put it into practice, right? Because things still happened afterwards. So it took me a while. What it was, she got me to draw a picture. It was unbelievable. She was one of the top psychologists, you know, $200 for an hour. But I love her because she pinpointed exactly what was wrong with me. And if you understand my history, my upbringing, I came from a very dysfunctional family. We'll leave it at that. So fast forward to this particular night in my office late at night. And she said, Gina, I want you to draw a picture of a house. I said, okay, what's she on about? So I draw a picture of a house. And then she said, I want you to draw a picture of, draw the tree where you want it, draw the sky, whatever. And then she said, I want you to draw and put a fence around it. I said, okay. So I put the fence around it. And she goes, okay, show me the picture. I showed her. She goes, She goes, you don't have any boundaries at all. I said, what do you mean? She goes, see where you put your fence? I couldn't believe it. She was spot on.
Where was it?
I put my fence right up to the house.
Okay.
She said, your fence, most people will draw their fence over here and their house in there. You drew the fence right up to your house from that picture.
Wow.
It was really bizarre. It was really, and then she went into it a little bit more in detail. And I got it there and then. The boundaries, the word, I knew what boundaries meant. She said, you've never had boundaries in your life, have you? You don't know what boundaries mean.
No.
You know what it means, the word, but have you ever put boundaries in your life?
Yeah.
And this is why this is all happening to you, with your customers, with the males that you meet. I said, wow. And that was my first lesson in assertiveness.
And it's so important for our industry. If we don't get this training for the industry, I think what's going to end up happening is that so many people are going to leave.
There's going to be a lot of broken people.
Yeah, but they're going to leave and we're going to end up with no other option other than to either bring in more shitty humans that don't know, like dysfunctional, and then people are going to get sick of it and robots are going to take over.
Yeah.
Because
it's so true though.
Because employees are going to get tired of having to deal with it.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah.
So hopefully, and shout out to the dude that just walked in the room, Noah, because he sees as much value in this assertiveness training as what we do. And we both staunchly believe in the idea that we have to be a part of... What did you just do?
Nothing.
No, you did. It's back.
It's been good up until now, hasn't it?
Because he really believes in why we're doing this and what we have to make happen with this. So, I mean, if anyone does end up listening to this and think that they need to get it, in a week from tomorrow, it'll
And
be
I
up
think it's
online.
on both. It's for everybody.
Well,
It's not just for men. It's not just... I think it's for everybody. I really do.
And especially, like, people are like,
Because-
I'm super assertive.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell anyone to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, right.
Well,
But
no,
it's-
you're not assertive. You're aggressive.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's not about that, is it? And also, it's... I think with... I know this is going to sound a bit weird and maybe a bit old-fashioned, but I think with the world changing as well,
Yeah.
you know, our values are changing. I think the line is skewed a bit.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
we're all over the place. I
Yeah.
think there's this imbalance of how we should really be with one another now. And now, because women are coming more into the industry and you know, being part of the whole business environment, because there's more and more, and it's great, and it's gonna, and it's not going to. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Oh, totally. I heard a guy say it the other day. He said, women want equality and now they're taking over, and soon men are going to want equality. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean?
So he's confused. The poor guy.
You're worried that women are going to take over and men are going to need equality?
That is
Like the-
really interesting.
the lines
That's
are blurring in
That's what I'm
many
saying.
ways.
It's,
So-
everything's upside down.
Right.
So I think we need someone's help from not.
We need a few professionals' help.
we
We need
need- yeah.
sensitivity training. We need
Yeah.
assertiveness training. We need to get a lot of these, like, mental health. We need a lot of depression and anxiety training.
This is what I'm saying. It's just all over the place, and I think, see, a lot of people also. I mean, I do a lot of self-searching, right?
Yeah.
I'm constantly self-searching,
Yeah, that's
self-analysing.
why you and I don't get on at all.
Right.
At all.
But, you know, you have to keep self-searching. You have to keep, figuring this life out.
Right.
And without stepping on another human being's rights, you know?
And
you know where I'm going with this?
I do. And the thing is, like, if we could find a way to convince the industry that assertiveness training is at least as important as latte art.
Oh, God.
At least
Isn't it funny?
as important as latte
That's
art.
a really good point. Because if they could get so passionate about latte art,
You do a latte art throwdown,
and everyone's there,
there's 1,000 people
there's
there.
1,000. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And then they hate themselves because they didn't win. They hate themselves because they weren't competitive enough, and they went this and they were that. And I'm like, hate to tell you,
Yeah.
but the assertiveness training could have helped you win.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
Oh, that should have been the heading. How to help you win the next latte art championship.
Right? Now, how the fuck that's been 2.5 hours
Has
like
it?
that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you have a little bag there, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, yes. Do you want to know what it is?
I do want to know what
It's
it
a
is.
gift. It's a gift from...
For me?
Yes, for
For
you,
me?
Lee. It comes from a place in Goroka.
Okay. This
Anyway.
is from PNG.
Papua New Guinea,
Yeah.
in Goroka.
Oh, I'm very excited. Ooh. What is it? It smells like lapsang souchong.
Lapsang sushi.
Smell it.
So this is
Yeah,
made
you know
of...
the tea?
This is made of natural fibre. Natural fibre,
Smell it.
hand woven. Can they see the
Yeah.
whole thing? Like open it up as a bag?
So it's a grocery bag.
And
Is
this will carry like bricks in it and it'll never break. It's made of natural fibre.
That's so cool. For
These
anyone
are
who's-
called bilum bags and they're amazing. Bilum bags. And the women sit there and they weave these by hand. They're amazing.
So for anyone who's
Look
listening,
at the weaving though. Isn't
I'm
it
going to post
beautiful?
a photo. Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm going to post a photo on Instagram, but it's all natural tones. How do they dye it?
They dye it naturally with, certain plants. They're just so self-sufficient,
Wow.
these people. They're amazing.
And it's like a knitted hippie grocery bag.
Yeah.
And the rope, it's hand
from
woven-
it's
hands-
from the plant, I think, a cassia plant. It looks like a what are they called? Like those. Oh gosh, I've forgotten what they're called.
How is it so white?
It looks like a cactus. That's what it looks
okay.
like. But it's not. It's thin. They're really thin, but it looks like a cactus and all these.
Yeah, wow.
And I don't know how they do it, but
Thank
anyway.
you so much.
Isn't
I
it
love
amazing?
this. This is
Like,
coming back to me
honestly,
to San Diego.
If you take that
You'll be coming
shopping-
shopping with me every day.
Right.
Every time I go and get my produce every day, this will be the
Yeah,
thing
no, it's
that
beautiful.
comes with me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank you for doing this conversation. It's been a real honour to have this conversation with
I've
you.
enjoyed it. I've really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. Thanks, Lee. I
Thank
could
you.
sit here and talk to you all night.
Yeah, clearly we don't run out of shit to talk
No,
about.
we don't. We've got too much to talk about.
Thank you, Gina Di Brita. And
My
how
pleasure.
can people find Numero Uno and you on Instagram?
Okay, they can type in at Numero Uno Coffee
Yep.
for our Instagram, and for my personal Instagram, it's at Gina Di Brita. If they want to check out the website,
Yep.
I'm about to revamp it all actually.
Oh,
to
exciting.
put-
New logo and stuff, by the way. Awesome.
Thank
Beautiful.
You. Thank you. It's lovely. It's numerouno.com.au.
Awesome. You'll come back, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you
You're
so
awesome.
much for